10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Two Guys, One Gamepad. We'll call this episode 3.5. A recap of Wrestlemania, fun weekend, two great nights, and maybe a little bit of Friday SmackDown that we'll talk about. Also, I am Roggle, and I am here with Sig, and get into the recap of Wrestlemania.
My name, my name is Robble. Yeah, that's my name. Yeah. Okay.
They're fun to
Alright.
just do on the fly with the intros.
It really is. It's so much fun. Part of not scripted.
Not at all.
My cat just went fucking psycho in the house. Uh, anyway,
Don't own cats.
what's up, everybody? Like I said, my name is Sig. I just want to start off saying, for the most part, WrestleMania was good. I mean, there's definitely a few matches we'll get into, but I don't think they need to be there. But it was a good event for the most part. Um, so yeah, and just so where we can kick it off, we tied everyone. So if you want to know the predictions, we tied. I got 4 right. He got 4 right. Ironically, on 2 different nights. So
I double check the stats. I want to recount. I want to make sure.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, look at that! Yeah.
I'm going off your Air Force math.
Or my
We
college
do
degree
Army math.
math.
2, 7, 8, 7. Okay, yeah, we tied.
You do that Common Core shit. You're like 1 plus 1. Okay, but that makes 2, which is now 2 ones.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Here's another 2 ones. All right. 1, 2, 3. Oh, that makes 3. Yeah.
The socks came off and we got everything figured out. Okay, we might have tied.
All right. So what was your impression? I guess because you know my impression now. What was your impression
Oh,
of WrestleMania?
I went
as a whole?
into. I started off. I watched SmackDown Friday night because I wanted to see the Under the Giant Battle Royale, and it was again like every year it has been a disappointment.
Yeah, it wasn't
They
great.
had some stooge win it who
Should
will
shouldn't
pop amount
have.
to nothing. Um, the fact that Finn Balor had nothing really to do in it, kind of a disappointment. The Ricochet match was pretty cool. I liked the Ricochet match a lot. It was
It was good.
entertaining. But leading into it, watching the kickoff of WrestleMania, the kickoff was great. They had a lot of cool people on talking about it, and just the whole atmosphere was great. Um,
All but a
Night one
couple.
was probably my favorite night. Night two was kind of lackluster at best.
See, that's kind of where I'm at too. Where I'm like, one was like, with the exception of I think a couple matches, one was a lot better than night 2. But the
Yeah.
way they structured the match cards on both nights was terrible, honestly. So it there's some things that should have flipped around. Of course, we'll talk more about it. But um, what
Started off strong. Definitely started
it
off strong.
oh it did. Oh man, night 1 started off. Not only did it start off strong, it started off like it was going to be a really good match. We could tell, and then things happen. So let's just dive into it because match number 1, of course, was uh, the Usos versus Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs. And of course, we both picked the Usos, who of course did win. But overall, that match had such a potential on like just being a great match, and it was looking that way until Rick Boog literally had one of the Usos up on his shoulder, fireman carry style, and the other one jumped on his back, and you just saw his knee just cave. It just gave out, and that was such a
Blows out
nasty.
his right knee.
Oh, so bad. And like you can tell that match was rushed, and
Mhm.
like I bet you anything that what match was supposed to probably go on for another 5-10 minutes easily, if not longer, because the Usos can make anybody look good, and so can Shinsuke, and then you have Rick Boogs, who's projecting through WWE. He's new-ish, and he's been putting on really good matches as of late. So It's sad to see
There's
it
reports
happen.
he's having surgery in the next few days that to repair his knee as well. So he'll be out for probably 6 months at max, probably for knee surgery.
Well, we'll definitely see because I mean, hopefully he's out. He's not out as long. Then of course, best thing is just keep him out as long as needed, so where he can actually be healed properly. So
A torn quad patellar tendon.
well, that just sounds nasty. I know what the quad is, but the rest of that, I'll just fancy words.
It's in the leg.
So of course that started off WrestleMania, so it was really rough start, but you could see the potential there. So I really do hope these two teams go back at it at a later time and get a better chance. But if not, I think Rick Booth has proved himself that he doesn't even necessarily need Shinsuke, but he should start down a independent route of just himself being soloed. So that's my opinion.
His return he can.
Yeah. So, I mean, overall, I mean, again, not a great match, but not the worst match of the night. Just saying.
No.
No. So, by the way, do you have the list of like in order?
I do.
Okay, so
Six is
just curious.
Drew McIntyre and Happy Corbin.
All right, and this one,
Disaster.
yeah, I mean, but again, we were both right on this. We both predicted that McIntyre would win, but I don't like. What? Let me. You talk. Let me see my notes on this one.
The match. I mean, Drew McIntyre is the physique on that guy, and the athletic ability of him is pretty damn amazing. I love Baron Corbin also, but I don't like his Happy Corbin character. I liked him before when he was just that kind of
Lone Wolf.
lone wolf style,
Yeah.
doing his own thing. But it works for him right now. Just
Yeah.
do think that the way Drew McIntyre is, he's stuck in that mid card range. I want to see him go higher because he's had pushes before.
Yeah.
But
And there's
um,
rumors that he's Reigns' next opponent. That this was supposed to finish off his mid tier feat. Essentially, this was to introduce him to SmackDown because he did get drafted. For whatever that's worth.
I think with this one, it kind of gives that younger style feel match because the way that after the match ended and kind of what they did with Sword and everything like that, just give me that going in the younger crowd with what happened, like that shock and awe that they did with it. Um, Still an entertaining match. A
Yeah.
lot of big moves out of both of them, off the
There's
top ropes and everything like that. But
a lot
it
of
was
power moves and a lot of fly
yeah, it was
moves.
definitely enjoyable.
Again, it's not that it was a bad match because it wasn't a bad match. It was a decent match. But for me, I would like to see that match have been something more than a singles match. Again, I would have actually liked to see a lot of these matches be more than just traditional matches because there was only what one special match. So out of all of them, are you kidding me? Like there was no Extreme Rules, there was no tables, no ladders, no really anything with the exception of one match, and well, two matches I guess because Austin and KO, yeah, and then Sammy and Knoxville. But again, so you had one match each night. That's still not a lot. But I didn't hate McIntyre versus Corbin. But at the same time, I'm not like, oh my god, this was the best match of the night by any means. But it
made sense of why it was the second match of the night.
Yeah.
Leading of everything. The build up was good with it.
Yeah.
Flow, everything was good.
And that's a bad thing. Like it's a good thing and bad thing, because it kept everybody's attention. But then at the same time, as we'll see here soon, how the match or how the card ended / right before ended just was not a good structure. And we'll get more into that when that match comes. But again, not a bad match. We both predicted McIntyre. I hope all the rumors and speculations are true. I hope McIntyre goes against Reigns. Um, I just hope they don't protect Reigns, because if anybody's going to dethrone him, it should be McIntyre of all people. He would make the most logical and sensible person to dethrone Reigns, but I don't think he's gonna do it right away. I think it would probably be a best of three series and either end in SummerSlam or it'll go through SummerSlam into Survivor Series. So with little micro matches in between. So
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. We'll see. It's all speculation until shit actually happens, of course. So
Yeah, and then after the pinfall, the whole sort of cutting the top two ropes and
the
that
shock
was
and awe was it was like, oh, yeah, okay, it was good, but
yeah,
until they slowed it down. I think
yeah,
if they would have not slowed it down, it would have been 100% sellable and sold and believable. But the moment they slowed it down, you could see how the sword goes through it, and it's not going at a proper angle to have cut them properly. And so there's
I don't know.
release, like there's releases, and that was even speculated in like other people who slowed it down even further. It's like, oh, there's a release chain or whatever, but it's still like, unless you know what you're looking for and you see that shit,
Yeah,
you don't know it. You're just like, oh, that's still pretty cool. I love the shock and awe. Cool, awesome. But
that's like I said, it's a little more for the like younger kids. Like, oh, you see him cut the ropes and like that, just that type of thing. I mean, we've been watching for a long time. We know kind of not all the ins and outs, but the shock and all stuff and
yeah,
the theatrics of it.
for the most part,
They
yeah.
still have it, and it's cool.
Yeah, it's gotten better. I will say that it's gotten better over the years versus just, oh no, that's fake.
Yeah.
That's fake. So, but anyway, so let's move on. The next match, this I'm gonna say it's Mysterio versus The Miz and Logan Paul. I told you from the get go I did not have any high hopes for this match at all. I don't think it's a good match. I don't think it was gonna be anything. However, it was a good match. It was a really good match. It wasn't great because we'll get to that later, but I mean, it was a good match, especially for Logan Paul to come out. We haven't actually seen him have a wrestling match or anything, and he looked like a proper new superstar. Like he may have had a couple matches or a few matches before this, and he understood the mechanics and how to do it. And he took care of the opponents and all that. And it was a good match because most celebrities, as we'll see in the Knoxville match and even other matches before, is most celebrities come in and they look a joke. They don't look
Yeah,
like they
very
should be
very
there,
stiff.
and it's if you're trying to sell wrestling or WWE, yes, it's a soap opera basically, but if you're trying to sell it as professional wrestling and not that it's so heavily scripted, celebrities are not the people to bring in. But Logan Paul kind of made that come in and go, okay, cool. He looked like he belonged. I'm excited for this feud that I truly believe will happen between Miz and Logan Paul because they won, and then Miz stabbed Logan Paul in the back with a I can't think of his move all of a sudden. I can't
Uh,
think of his
oh
move.
my gosh.
Crushing finale. There we go.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, you're hitting with that, but I mean, just watching like the entrances by both teams. Obviously, the Mysterios with their normal pop up out of the stage, and then
Yeah,
Dominic was coming out with the full American flag get up with he paid homage to Eddie Guerrero.
yeah,
That one. And then you have Logan Paul and The Miz, and Logan Paul is coming down with Pokemon art around his neck. Supposedly the one that he paid tons of money for that's worth, I've read multiple different numbers, but like 5.2 million or whatever it is
yeah.
around
That's
his
what I read
neck.
was 6.1 to $6.3 million
Yeah, some
near
ridiculous
perfect
amount of money.
Pikachu card. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
but
only one in the world, I think, is what they stated. But
yeah, but yes, watching Logan Paul go through his moves, the power slam he did, just watching the technique in that and the height that he got off that,
dude,
um,
yeah, for real.
going through and tucking Dominic's head, making sure that he was, you know, parallel coming down
Yeah,
on it as well. Looked really well. He was stiff at times. I mean,
but he was stiff
he's
early
not a
on.
wrestler.
He
He
was
is
stiff
very,
early
very.
on, so
I mean, he's very, very new. I
yeah,
mean, obviously the timing is off, but it's all
but
part of being a new
and
wrestler, new
yeah,
to everything. And with the way things ended, the way that the Miz did stuff, and I think the way the Miz can work with um, multiple different people, this could be a fun,
anyone.
entertaining feud. Let it be known, I hate the Paul brothers.
Oh,
If they
absolutely.
keep Jake out of it,
Yeah.
Logan may have something, but Logan is also an idiot in his own right.
Jake has to completely stay out of it, and titles can they at no point can a title somehow get into this picture, whether it's a U.S. title or an Intercontinental title. No, the gold needs
Oh,
to stay away, and just needs to be away from it completely. And
mm.
Jake needs to be never seen again on this because, and like I was
He was
talking
on the
with you,
pre.
yeah, like I was talking to you on Saturday night, the pre-show, he looked and sounded well. He looked retarded, like he always does. Or sorry, he looked stupid. I am sorry. But he sounded like he was an inbred hillbilly hick, and he was not only taunting the crowd, but he started off by booing himself with the crowd, and then even Caleb Braxton was like, "What are you doing? Who are you booing?" "Oh, I'm booing
Mm.
myself." Like, shut up.
Yeah, trying to feed into a crowd before
Like,
feed into himself before the crowd feeds into him type thing. It
and
just
then
it
him,
didn't work.
and
He looked like a fool, sounded
yeah,
like a fool.
and I was kind of telling you this on Saturday. It's just like from a business perspective, from like the outside, it doesn't look good. It doesn't fare well for you to have this type of moron on your pre-show to get people hyped for, Logan's match. He's not the
Mhm.
one to do it because realistically, all it really did would make like put that thought in my mind even heavier. Oh, okay, this is gonna be a joke of a match.
Mhm.
It's not even worth watching. Just screw it. And I'm sure there was thousands because you can read the Twitter first of everybody just bashing Jake, and of course he doesn't care because whatever, he's filthy rich. But just the amount of like stupidity that he just personified was ridiculous, and he has to remain out of this entire feud. He cannot come into the WWE. He cannot be a part of this. It will ruin the feud and it will degrade Logan's Paul's reputation and situation inside WWE as well, because he could potentially come into WWE and be a full time um,
Yeah,
superstar. So
Willie
we'll
knows. I
see.
mean, it's
I think the feud will be the ultimate test, and the Miz can make anybody look good or look bad, and he's always rated as like one of the better people other superstars want to work with because of how well he can move around the ring, he can take care of you, and he's really good with his moves too. And he's probably one of the best heels, if not the best heel right now, just in this generation, because you hate him, or well, you don't, you like him. I hate him to the point where it's like, oh my god, will somebody just slap the motherfucking shit out of this dude? But at the same time, if I see him on the card, I'm watching because I want to see somebody slap the motherfucking shit out of this dude.
mhm.
So he
Yeah,
always has my attention, and he's like, I don't like him. I don't like his character, but that means his character is working and it's doing what's supposed to be in comparison to some other heels who you're just like, you're a bad guy? Okay,
yeah.
whatever. So, I mean, overall, solid match. Definitely, definitely up there. Logan looked fantastic and performed fantastic, especially bringing into like where he's at in the career situation of it. Um,
Mhm.
Bad Bunny looked good when he was at WrestleMania and he was wrestling with Damian Priest against The Miz. But I think Logan Paul, and it hurts me to say because it's one of the Paul brothers, Logan Paul looked better than Bad Bunny, and Bad Bunny actually looked good because he was pulling off even some of these great high flying moves that, again, others weren't pulling off very well. So,
I think with who was around Bad Bunny is what made him look
yeah.
more decent than he should have.
But a lot of these other superstar or celebrities in the past had great superstars, even like the likes of Triple H and Hulk Hogan and John Cena and The Big Show, and they don't come across very good. They come across like they're like WWE was just forcing them down your throat. Of here, you're gonna see this celebrity because we need the hype, we need the publicity, we need the draw power. But
Mhm.
Big whoop.
I think
Pretty
after
much.
that one, it leads into the next match, which is one of my favorites of the night. Not the favorite, but one of for the Raw Women's
Wow.
Championship. Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair.
This was this was an amazing match. Like up into this or up until I would say it would tie with the match of the night, but I mean I would still put this up there as the match of the night, if not match of WrestleMania, because it was stellar moves, it was stellar performance, and amazing all around. Like I I don't think I have anything negative to say other than their placement on the card. Like they shouldn't have been in the middle of the card. They should have been at the end before Austin and KO. This should have been Flair and Rousey. That's
Yeah,
who
I
should
would
have
have
been
flip
there.
flopped the Flair Rousey match with this match. Just the whole way that Becky Lynch puts on a match and the way that Bianca got off of her. I mean, Becky Lynch puts on great matches, and as technical as she is, and experienced as she is, minus how she looked like a character from Mad Max,
She was supposed to
WrestleMania.
be from Paramore.
What?
Paramore, the band, like
Oh, okay,
the lead singer way back in the early 2000s when she
okay.
had the bright orange. Anyways, doesn't matter.
Just saw Mad Max character. But even
That's
going through
debatable.
everything and seeing the frustration she threw in and getting upset and frustrated with Bianca because she couldn't pin her, selling the match like that and going through all of her emotions, all of her techniques, her full arsenal of moves, and Bianca still stayed with her and went through everything to
It,
essentially come out with the victory and take the title from her.
and
It was a
kind of
great match.
it was definitely a redemption match from what
A year ago.
4 months after WrestleMania, so it would have been SummerSlam that she lost the title to Becky. So less than a year, she got the title back, and it's amazing. Like she's a
Mm.
great Belair is a great wrestler. She's a great technician. Becky Lynch also great wrestler, great technician. I think both of these women are far superior than Charlotte
Mm.
Flair, and deserve the recognition and deserve the proper push and handle of it. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this makes Bianca Bianca. I'm butchering her last name like crazy.
Belair.
Yeah, that makes her undefeated in WrestleMania right now. And if they're gonna do a undefeated streak for a woman, she would be the one to do it for. She's poised. She has the right character. She has the right persona. Like she would be the one they should protect her WrestleMania streak. So I believe she's undefeated right now. Yeah, I
It'd be
could be
hard to tell
wrong.
if they
So
do another streak type thing.
I mean,
But it'd be good to see a
yeah,
women's division, somebody run the undefeated
it doesn't
gauntlet.
it doesn't have to be 20 plus and 0. It can just be 10 and 0. Let her
Yeah.
career actually end as undefeated. But it's I mean these matches are more uh, well versed and well scripted. So I
Mm.
think they could properly do a 20 plus, but they would have to essentially be banking on this superstar to be the face or be the next Undertaker, essentially, of the locker room leader, the one everybody goes to down the line, and only time will tell with Bianca, but I think she's poised to do that and be the face of the women's division. I mean, she already is. So, and hopefully we get new challengers outside of just Becky. So,
I mean, I mean, Flair is probably one of the bigger women's wrestlers at the moment, just because the name
yeah,
and everything like that. I guess I just
it's
try to
name and
get her
reputation.
out of the way is what they need to do. Because I don't know, I'm not a huge fan of her,
I never have
but
been.
the legacy she has,
But it's not
can't
her.
ignore
It's
that.
not her
Oh, it's
legacy.
it's not
It's
her.
not
It's
her
not.
legacy. Okay, we'll get more into that when we get to that match because yeah, we can go off all day. But again, I would tie this with honestly match of WrestleMania, definitely match of the night. But it's up there like top 3 matches for sure tonight, and which kind of leads into the next match, which there's part of me that's torn because of, I don't want to say like nostalgic reason, but hype or anything, or being right. But leads into the next match. Oh, and before I forget, you were right. Forgot to mention this earlier. You were right. You chose Miz and Logan Paul against the Mysterios to win. So you were right. I chose Mysterios, and you were right on the Raw Women's Champion. You chose Bianca. I chose Lynch. So he's up 2-0 at this point. I mean, we're right on other stuff, but only the stuff that we changed. So, but as I was saying, leads into our next match, which is Seth Rollins versus Cody Rhodes, which I called 2 weeks. Just I said, yeah, it's a rumor, but it's the most likely, and they were still trying to sign him, and I'm pretty sure it was all spectacle at that point to have him sign at the very last moment and make it sound like they're going back and forth, they're having this issue, and then to have accounts come forward and say, no, Rhodes can't be at WrestleMania. He's here in Florida, or he's here in Cali. I think one showed him down in New York, which was like a really wonky one. But the fact of the matter is they covered it up very well to keep as much of a surprise as possible. But at the same time, everyone knew that the chances of it being Cody Rhodes was very high. But then we had the likes of Bray Wyatt, who was in Dallas for a wrestling con, and he answered tons of questions about, would you ever return to WWE? He's like, well, you can never say never. And of course, that's their slogan, that's their catch line nowadays. But so everyone's like, oh, it could be Wyatt. You really wanted John Cena. Told you the fucker was busy.
I went full. I mean, I took the bait. I went
did.
full fangirl fan mode on the WWE vacant Twitter feed.
Yeah.
It all said, obviously
I
they
took
were
the
hinting
title
at you
from you
can't see
before.
me. Took title from him before, and the only ones that I looked up, I didn't look at Intercontinental or any of the other things. I looked at just World Championships, and Cena, Bray Wyatt were the only two
Yeah.
made any sense of it, and I was like, yeah, it's
But
got to be one of those two.
but they both also wrestled on the independent circuit. So that's the thing. It's like, were they talking about the titles within WWE, or were they talking about just titles?
The picture they had on Twitter was from a
Yeah,
WWE match.
yeah, I
I
know, but
I just what I did is I just bit straight onto
you
what
bet
they said,
hard,
and I was like, I'm going with it. I'm going to see this, and
ride or
yeah,
die.
even when they went to black, and they announced who it was coming out, and logo came up or the music started. I'm like, I have no idea who this is. Like, it's not Bray unless he's got some other character, and it's not John Cena, obviously. And the logo came up, and I'm like, okay, I still have no idea who this is, because I never watched AEW enough to
Oh,
even or saw the tattoo on Cody Rhodes' neck to put two and two together. So I'm like, I have no idea who this is. And then obviously once he comes up, because you see the skull
yeah,
with the crown and then the
yeah,
outerlying stuff, the outside with the American flag across it.
yeah,
I'm like, I have no idea who this is. And then he's coming up, the full, which reminded me of, like when they first showed Lex Luger.
yeah.
He came out, and they panned from angle looking up at him, everything, and he came up and he looked great, the whole entrance, everything. I didn't get the sense that the crowd really popped as much as I thought they were going to for him. I don't think he got as much of a pop,
Well,
but maybe I was just caught up in trying to figure out who it was and wasn't paying attention to the crowd.
he definitely got a pop, but I mean,
Yes, he did.
I will agree. I don't think it was as much as anybody was anticipating. I think that was more of a, honestly, probably the true shock and awe of, oh shit,
Yeah.
those rumors are all false. Oh shit, they actually did sign him. And then you go to the second thought, which was, shit, they signed him. Are they going to mistreat Cody Rhodes again, like they did the first time around, and make him do all these stupid freaking gimmicks like Stardust or whatever, and just do stupid fucking gimmicks and keep him in a middle card, even though he is top tier athlete. So it was nice to see him come back to the WWE, and I think Seth Rollins was the perfect match for him. And I hope they continue on a feud. I think that'd be really good to kind of like reintroduce his style, especially since the last time everybody saw him, he was a very scrawny, skinny, unmuscular dude and psycho looking because he was Stardust. And now he's this kind of jack dude. You know, he actually can perform really good moves. He looks good in the ring now. Uh, have somebody like Seth Rollins who again can make people look fantastic. Uh, which this match was a great match. I don't think um, I don't think it was. It definitely was not better than the Raw women's match. But I mean, it was a good match for him to come back in. The length of time they gave him as well, and then the jumping cutter from the top rope. That was like I think that was probably an oh shit moment. Of, oh damn, haven't seen him do
Yes.
that. So
It was like you got a very kind of an awkward feeling from the match because there were a lot of low spots in the match that Seth gave Cody, which could have been the whole thing of, you're back, you get your spots,
yeah, get your
but you see
pops.
him on his knees kind of sitting there smiling. There was some awkward moments because Seth is smiling the entire time during the entrance and everything as
Yeah,
well. Like he's just happy to see Cody Rhodes.
well that and he's
And
freaking freak.
true.
His
So,
whole
it
persona.
just felt like an awkward style match. Definitely a great
Yeah,
match, but it was just
yeah,
awkward feeling of, okay, do a couple things and then I'm gonna sit here, get to prance around your
yeah.
thing. Then we'll get back to it. It didn't seem like a typical Seth Rollins match at all
Because his matches
to
are
me.
either high strung where he's doing a lot of
Mhm.
moves and able to get flying, but you can definitely tell he took the back seat in this and kind of just let Cody Rhodes dictate the speed and everything.
And going through everything and then seeing Cody go through his transitions and almost shed his past skin of Stardust of the past Cody Rhodes because you can see him do the somersault and then
Well,
old
he did that
Stardust
in
and then just kind
AEW
of
too.
throw it off,
Yeah,
kind of to kind of say it's gone,
yeah.
and then go into, which I thought was probably the coolest part, was his dad's finishing move.
The bionic elbow.
Yes,
Yep.
the jabs, and then going down and coming up with the
Awesome.
bionic elbow, which was I thought it was great,
I mean, I'll give
great.
you that was great. The homage. There we go. Fucking Christ, English is hard. To his father is fantastic. I will say, I think I don't remember if I told you this. I'm pretty sure I typed in Discord. The fact that Corey Graves specifically made a comment about how Cody Rhodes hasn't been in the ring for over 6 years. I know he meant he hasn't been in like the WWE ring, but he didn't
Mhm.
say WWE. So if you take at face value, Corey Graves sounds super freaking ignorant, and like they're trying to bury the fact that he was one in New Japan Wrestling, two that he actually did a stint and started AEW with Tony Khan. Like that was just, I think that was a slap in face and just not AEW, which is whatever they're competing now. But that was a slap in face against Cody Rhodes as well because he left the company because he wasn't getting what he needed and wanted and deserved, and then he came back after spreading his wings, so to say, and coming back better than ever. And he's one of those people. Like, go back to Flair though. You talk about lineage. The fact that Cody Rhodes never was protected. Cody Rhodes never got into the main title picture. He was never the front man. He was always a mid tier to um, like a jockey who just got the shit beat out of him for no reason. Even for like newer talent to come up, like it never made sense why they did that to him and even his brother Dustin when you have the American Dream was such an iconic wrestler, and then his dad was also a wrestler within the company. Like, talk about true lineage, and they just disrespected and mistreated Cody Rhodes like that. And then for him to come back, it was great. But now I think that's everybody's big fear: is are they going to just highlight Cody Rhodes for a few months, or are they going to actually do something with him this time around and show him the respect that he's earned worldwide from leaving WWE and starting up AEW and going to New Japan and all that stuff, and let him be the top tier superstar, have him go against Roman Reigns. He doesn't. Again, he doesn't have to go against Reigns. If McIntyre dethrones Reigns, cool. Let McIntyre and Cody go after it. But either way, if someone's going to dethrone Reigns, I think McIntyre would be perfect. But I think Cody would also be a perfect fit as well because he can play a perfect baby face, but he's better at heel. At least he was in AEW. So,
And I mean, back when Cody was Stardust and like that, the card or the roster was so much bigger, and the talent was a
stacked.
lot more
You still,
developed.
yeah, you still had the likes of John Cena there, and you still had The Rock doing more appearances even back then, and you had
He got lost in
yeah.
the shuffle of a lot of things, and
But again, they didn't have to get him lost. He didn't have to get lost. He could have been there. They could have introduced him uh, as a top tier superstar because he was part of Randy Orton's little re-evolution or whatever crap, where he had him and Ted DiBiase, who again, lineage and franchise family, got mistreated and disrespected and was not protected, and he was a good wrestler. Uh, the fact that they were underneath Randy Orton and Randy Orton was succeeding so well, those two, especially Cody, should have projected through the ranks when they left Randy instead of flipping into Stardust and let him have some stupid gimmick because they'll match his brother. They both be mystical.
yeah, I mean it's just lost in the shuffle. I think is what a lot of that was. Again, it was a great match, and to see how everything ended and where it went was definitely great to see.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the match, but again, like I said, it was awkward. I still found some awkwardness in it.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely moments of what's going on type thing, but overall, definitely good match. My only bone I had to pick was simply because Corey Graves made it sound like this dude has just poof, not wrestled in 6 years, and he would have ring rust.
I mean, Corey Graves is kind of he's not a bad announcer by any means, but he just kind of
Yeah,
runs his mouth in any way he wants to.
yeah,
I mean, you've seen in the past that
I know.
he does what he wants.
And that's fine, but doing something like that makes you sound ignorant to the fact of the external world of WWE. You don't have to say he was at AEW. You could just say, hey, it's going to be interesting to see how he reacts to the WWE crowd because they are much larger than the AEW crowd. So,
Yeah.
anyways, it was a great match. Great performance. Rollins did really well to protect him and help him, and Cody Rhodes protected him and help him. There was like one bad spot I think that I saw. And it was just awkward landing that Rollins landed more on his rib cage / shoulder than he was supposed to land on his back. But
For the spine buster.
yeah, so
Yeah.
it happens a lot, so it wasn't a big deal. So, oh shit, this match.
We want to talk about that, or just mention the Hall of Fames that are in between that.
Your choice.
Because that's when
You can talk about the Hall of Fame. I was just gonna leave that for last because
we can do that. That's fine.
I
We
got
can go to the next match.
okay.
Go to the
Oh,
SmackDown's Women's Championship.
Man, that was trash. Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey. Charlotte won. Predictable. It was not a big surprise. It was not an enjoyable match. I honestly think this was probably one of the worst matches of the night. Just the overall performance and lack of spectacle that was there when you have a beast of a woman like Rousey who could do anything and can do anything. And she looked a lot better than what she did with her first run with WWE. She looked like
She
was,
did.
She was
I don't know if
practicing.
she's put in the work to try and make it a legit run, because I know she's talked about wanting to stick around.
She'll be here until she's ready to have baby 2, 3, 4, 7, or 11.
I like Ronda Rousey. I do not like Flair.
No.
I don't like anything about her. I wish she would find her own gimmick and not use her dad's name, but is what it is. She can do it.
Oh, name, wardrobe.
It's just everything. I do like the figure 8
moves.
move. I do like the figure 8 move. That is, I mean, and it's still figure 4. You just arch your back. Whatever.
Dad's move.
Still one of my all-time favorite submissions. The damn thing hurts, and if some people are listening to this and know exactly what I'm talking about, that's done it on me. Um, it hurts and it sucks, and reverse is a lie. If you reverse it, it doesn't hurt. It's a lie. I don't care what anybody says. It's a
I
lie.
I don't know the speaking of like favorite submission, I would honestly say the crossface done by Chris Benoit. That was a fucking amazing uh, submission, and it cut off airway if done properly, as we saw in a different match last night with Edge. But it was like I think that's a devastating because it's your nose, it's your mouth, and it's your chin. It could be your throat. Like that's just your legs like hurt like a bitch. The figure four hurts. Like I get it, but
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those matches that yeah, it's the figure eight is cool. Rossi's ankle lock. I just got all I could think about the entire time was Ken Shamrock.
yeah,
That's all I thought about, and I'm like, it's been done. UFC fighters use the ankle lock. But stick with your armbar. That's always been your thing in
yeah.
UFC. Stick with the armbar. I don't care. Get away from the ankle lock because it drives me nuts. Because all I can see is Ken Shamrock freaking out, screaming, and then referees jumping on him. Like that's all I thought about the entire time. Like,
Uh,
good
uh,
job. It's five knuckle
I
shuffle time, and it's
I think
it's a female Ken Shamrock.
I think both of those women need a shake up. Not necessarily like Flair needs a total repackaging. She comes out with her dad's wardrobe, the fancy robe. She comes out with her dad's move, figure four. She comes out with basically her dad's music, just slightly different, and dad's
New age.
gimmick. So like it's all just it's Ric Flair but female and modern. So it's not
Mm.
it's not that I'm literally like, oh man, this is a really good persona. And she's not even one of those like heel characters where like the Miz where I don't like them, but I will watch them because I want to see how much somebody just beats the shit out of them. She's one of those like she comes on, I typically just go boop, or
Yeah,
it's not even boop because I don't have a remote. I go scrub and I fast forward until she's off my screen because she's not enjoyable to watch. She uses the same exact move sets day in day out. It never changes. She doesn't add much to her arsenal, and if she does, it's when she makes a comeback, and then you don't see those moves ever again. It's just
yeah,
it's not a good thing. And then the ending alone was just complete hot shit.
yeah. One thing about Rousey and her whole persona as being, rowdy.
Yeah,
She she would take on that whole persona of that. I mean, again, that would be taking from Piper,
yeah.
just like Charlotte's taking from her dad. If she wanted to go to the crazy route, she could probably pull it off. But again, how is that different from Ken Shamrock?
I would
Um,
say I would say this would be my argument about why it's not only different but better. Hers is more paying respect and homage to those who came before her, and yes, Flair is doing the same thing. Yes, no, but it's Flair's own father, so that would be honestly like the Usos, The Rock, Roman Reigns, all sharing the exact same move set, exact same
mhm.
gimmick, and it's boring, it's outplayed, it's overdone. It's just drop it. Flair has not been something of her own identity at all, and they give that woman fucking everything underneath the sun. They let her be the one that broke Asuka's winning streak, which was stupid. She should have not been the one to do it, but yay, Flair did it. Flair won the Royal Rumble and got to go defeat the NXT's women's champion, which I believe was Ripley at the time. Yay, who cares? Like she's not enjoyable to watch. Whereas Rousey, yeah, she's still lackluster. She's definitely still new, and they're trying to pipe her into the line a lot more, and she does get favored. But then they do shit like last night or 2 nights ago, technically, where they have Flair and Rousey matched up, and this could have been a good match, and Rousey should have won. Your prediction was roundless. You predicted Flair. Oh no, we both predicted Rousey.
Yeah, we were both wrong.
I beat you. Oh, I gave you one, motherfucker. Nope, still 3-3. Never mind. No, yeah, I won
See,
43.
Force math and Army math are the same.
Yeah, it's just mine's longer to get to the outcome. But anyways, like they screwed Rousey over, and it was so just ridiculous. It was sickening to the point where like she she pinned her, she made her tap, and then they screwed her over by a freaking big boot to knock her out.
Mm.
The figure 4/8, not a shooting star press. No, fucking big boot that she hit on her 2 times and never was able to even get a one out of her. Like that's such a shitty ending, and it honestly for me it was the worst match of the night by far, and it should have
Mm.
never been the second to last match at all. It should have honestly, I think that should have kicked off WrestleMania, and then go into the Usos, then Drew McIntyre, and
Yeah,
then
it could have.
Raw, yeah, I think that one should have been first. It was just not a great match. I honestly really wanted to turn away, but if it wasn't for this podcast, that was really the only reason why I watched it. Was like, God,
Yeah.
I need to know what happens. I need to watch it. It's not enjoyable. Fuck this. Just
But after that, whatever kind of match was the probably in my opinion the best match of the night. The best, which wasn't slated to be a match, just supposed to be
but
come
we
on in and
talked
hang
but
out.
we talked about it because we said,
Yeah, we did.
do you really think this is gonna be just a show?
Oh
No,
yeah,
it's
no,
gonna be a
no
fight.
way.
So of course we called
Yeah,
it. I mean, everybody
yeah,
fucking called it. You can't have Austin on a goddamn talk show not have a freaking fight. Like,
oh yeah,
so
yeah. Watching Kevin Owens come down, talks his shit like he's been doing in his mouth. Which again, I did tell you again, I didn't know his accent was that thick
yeah,
when he gets going. I
yeah.
never knew he had that thick of a
Oh
Canadian
yeah.
accent. I knew he was from Canada, but damn,
Oh yeah.
he came through strong.
Yeah, you should go
The
watch
last
like
few
some of
promos.
his early stuff, especially NXT. He had it
Mm,
thick, and then he started like once he got on the main roster, you're like, oh, he's kind of losing it. No, he starts slowing down. He's talking. He's articulating. He's
mm.
enunciating. He's taking the time. But if they let him just go off, he's Canadian, eh?
He is he is definitely his heel persona is great. I love him as a heel.
Mm.
The way that he can piss people off
Oh yeah.
and stick with it and just not care is great. Um,
But
the
he's
whole KO show, I haven't really caught a whole lot of it, but it looks great from what I've seen.
it's just him shit talking, and most of the
Yeah.
time it ends in a brawl, so whatever. But I mean, that was. But here's where my problem lies: is it a match of the night because of nostalgic reasons? Because Stone Cold came out of retirement after 19 years, looked amazing, was in great shape, wrestled phenomenally. KO definitely supported him, or is it a great match without the nostalgic effect?
Most entertaining match of the night. Um, wasn't a whole lot of it. I mean, yeah, there was wrestling involved in it. Yeah, there was, but
A lot of beer drinking.
just and I'll get to that here in a second. Just the whole fact of him coming back, yes, it's nostalgia. The glass breaking, him coming down, going back up, grabbing the four wheeler, coming around, going around. It's
Classic,
like
yeah.
old days. Kevin Owens playing the heel that he has of just sitting there, rolling his eyes, like, okay,
Bashing
hurry
him
the fuck up,
still.
get this shit done,
Yeah,
get your redneck ass in the ring,
yeah.
so we can do this. Just him in the. I mean, you could see what he was thinking just on
Oh
his
yeah,
facial expressions, which was great.
yeah.
Which just goes back into how good he is. And once he got in the ring and they were talking back and forth and everything, and uh, he challenged him, and the fact he was kicking the KO show signs over, like
He
even
did
before he
it
even
from the
sat
start.
down.
Yeah,
I did like the fact that KO's like, "All right, you're done. This is my show. I don't give a shit what you're doing.
yeah. Sit down.
Sit your ass down. Let's do this." It's good to see how he kind of took it back or tried to shut him down
Yeah,
in a way too. So it was a play back and forth. I thought they fed off each other really well.
yeah. I mean, I
Just
agree. Great chemistry between the two of them, and then um, the passing of the torch was amazing. I mean, granted, KO lost, but the passing of the torch still happened, and then you had the fact like you look back, KO was at one of Austin's last shows, and so many years ago, and then now they're wrestling, and he gets the stunner, and he's very much a new age Austin of the I don't care F you type mentality that Austin had against McMahon. And it was nice to see the clash. And like I said, it's up there for match of the night for sure. I think definitely match of the night for the men's, and Raw women's is match of the night for the women's. But those two all together, I honestly would say tie, because it's just, if you remove nostalgic reasons behind Austin's match, without a doubt, they tie. Both had phenomenal matches and everything, but you include that nostalgic. I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, Austin came back 19 years later. 19 years.
If you want to go straight wrestling match,
was in better shape, and he just looked better than he did 19 years ago. So,
and if you want to go straight wrestling technique and about that, Becky Lynch and Bianca were hands down at for, I guess, in nostalgia style and everything else that went along with it. This was a great match. In fact, that Stone Cold went through and was drinking beer during the match,
so many fucking beers,
which was great. And Ian, I didn't think he was going to take as many bumps as he did. I definitely think he fucked his head up, bounced off the corner.
Yeah.
He seemed like he hit it pretty hard in the face that he made going down. Like he messed himself up. Taking the suplex, the crowd on the concrete, in that one. Then also delivering a few more on top of the stage after he took ones up on the four-wheeler.
Yeah.
But during the match, he drank 7 beers. 7 beers that were tossed that he drank.
He sipped on
entire night. Yeah, I would say sipped on. He didn't drink all 7. That probably total, he probably drank 1.5, maybe, of those. But there were 28 beers total thrown to him.
Night one.
The entire from the first one he caught, the time he walked off.
But
28 beers thrown to him. 6 were dropped. No, through his entire career, like the guy never dropped a beer. It seemed like every time he was out, he was catching beers left and right.
I mean,
and I always found it very interesting.
I can think of a few times he didn't catch it, but he definitely played off of like calling him out. What the hell? That was a shitty throw. Throw again, and then he catches it. But yeah, if they do the throw perfectly and like he puts his hand up, absolutely. But if he's having like tuck it like a football down here, he doesn't always catch them. But yeah, he's like, I noticed that too. Oh, he dropped a beer.
Yeah, there were 28 thrown to him. He cracked and attempted to drink 16 different ones and dropped 6 of them. So, which is kind of crazy. Just in night one of everything that was going there. So it was just kind of funny seeing that. I went back and I wanted to pull those stats just for that, because it was just kind of funny how much beer was drank in that first night. Because I was talking to another friend of mine, we're talking like over under 6 beers. During the match, and it ended up being over. So it was just funny that
he always puts that at least the case. At least the case.
Well, yeah,
always.
Yeah, it was definitely entertaining and fun, and I laughed the entire match. And the way that they ended at one was great. Him going off. It just felt like a Raw, like a in the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
Of him walking off, obviously wasn't throwing. I don't think he was throwing middle fingers, but he was doing his thing, walking off.
I think for the most
part,
he
was limited when he did it.
But if he did flip him off, I think they did a really good job of doing like this, where you still saw his hand.
Yeah.
So
he had a few times where he had it up, but other times he was doing one finger up like that. He was doing the suplexes. He had that, but for the most part, he didn't do it a whole lot. He even had to catch himself when he wanted to call the ref down. He had to catch himself.
Yeah. But I think I think here's the significance though behind this, because it's been rumored and heavily speculated that WWE is getting ready to go away from the PG era finally and get into more of a PG-13, because their core demographic that they're always talking about, they need more of and they need to target more of, especially with AEW, is the 18 to 35 year olds. And the 18 to 35 year olds are not going, oh shucks, gosh darn it, No, it's what the fuck?
It's,
You
yeah.
stupid pop! What the hell?
And
So
yeah,
I think they're I hope Austin was like the, and I think that's what I mean by passing a torch. I think he's kind of going, look, it's coming back. Kevin Owens was showing a lot with calling him stupid son of a bitch a lot as well, just like Austin was calling him. He was calling him some other names. So I think he called him a bastard at one point. So I mean, I think we're starting to see not necessarily attitude era, but I think we're getting more of the, this is no longer designed for children of the ages of 5 to 13.
Kevin
With
Owens
John
is straight edge also.
So
There won't be any drinking like that from him, but he can definitely carry on that
he can do
heel
the milk
mentality.
truck. He can do the milk truck
No,
like
it's
Angle did.
no. He started on milk truck. Oh shit.
But
Yeah, the way they ended that night one with that match and Stone Cold finishing it off, and they said that they moved that to the last, the main event,
yeah.
because they didn't want people to see Austin and then
Oh yeah.
leave or lose interest because they knew it was going to happen.
And we talked about that 2 weeks ago. Was where would this KO show take place? Would they
Mhm.
put the first match, or is it going to be in? Like, we didn't even speculate anywhere in the middle. It was going to be either to kick off WrestleMania, or was it going to end WrestleMania?
Mhm.
And I will say, I think it would have been wiser for them to have it in night two, so where people have to watch the entire thing and see if he comes out. But the way they still ended night two, well, wasn't great. But the match before the end of night two was still a great ending with Austin coming back out. So, um, but overall, I think it was a good match. I honestly hope to see Austin come back for some aspect inside WWE, whether it's um, a stable. I don't think he'd ever manage anybody. I think that's out. But I would like to see him come back and do one more match against somebody, because you can't do.
I think that may be the last time you see
Yeah,
him in ring.
yeah,
He talks in his podcast and everything else. I mean, he's still got a lot of stuff going on. His podcast is what he loves doing.
yeah.
Really enjoys doing that,
He
talking with
has
all the
TV
wrestlers,
shows
and
too.
yeah. So I don't think he'll do it.
No, but it'd be
Um,
nice. It would be nice. That's really think
again,
about it.
I'll never say never, I
Shut the
guess.
fuck up.
So yeah, I mean, I ended it and night two kicked off. Okay, no,
I mean, I think it started off. I kind of wish this is how night one would have started off, but either way, I'm glad Triple H made an appearance, and I mean, it was just a small little thank you and place his boots down. That's more of a tradition thing, and as somebody who's watched wrestling since the like early '90s, late '90s type thing, uh, Triple H has always wrestled during my time of watching, except for these last few years, and to see him kind of go, I'm done. Um, Especially all the interviews he's done, especially during COVID and everything, and him saying, "No, I would love to do one more match if the time presented itself," and he kind of got robbed of it because of his heart issue. But it was a nice send off, and I personally, I was happy with how it started. Oh, okay, cool. Didn't have to be the beginning, but at the same time, for somebody who
glad
was
it
in
was.
my
So
childhood, it was
uh,
nice.
I mean, it was nice to see everything. I don't know. I like Triple H. Loved I love DX. I love
Everybody loved
Shawn Michaels
DX.
is one of my favorites. And obviously with Shawn Michaels, Triple H,
Mhm.
hand in hand, back and forth, everything.
I mean, even
Um,
outside of DX, like they
just
had
feel like
amazing matches too. So
yeah, and I don't know. Triple H to me feels like he's been shoved down my throat way too much and was given everything and anything that he ever wanted. Obviously, I mean he definitely earned it. Man is amazing,
I
one of the
think,
best.
yeah, I think he got to that point, and then afterwards, it was definitely shoved. And I mean, he's addressed it before, even of did you want this match or whatever? He's like, no, I didn't want, but Vince wanted it, and you just got to do what Vince wants. And he, like, what was it? The match where if he faced Daniel Bryan and Bryan won, Bryan could go on to face Randy and Batista.
Mm.
That was, if I remember correctly, I could be misremembering this all, but that was not supposed to happen. But again, Vince and the creative team said no, we need to challenge Bryan a little bit more. Triple H was behind Bryan the whole time and really wanted to push Bryan early on, but Vince didn't because it didn't fit Vince's persona, his list. So again, I mean, he's great and he's the reason why NXT is what it was. It's no longer fantastic like it used to be, and you're now having um, veterans come out like Randy Orton who are saying they're not teaching to take care of their opponents anymore. It's all about show, and I think that's kind of indicative of what NXT is. It's the fact that a lot of those guys come in and they tend to hurt main roster people, kind of like Rich Holland did to Big E. Again, we talked about it last time. I think it was 50-50, 60-40, whatever, but it happened more so with these NXT call-ups that injured the people who've been on the main roster for a while.
Yeah.
So
Real quick before we get into the first match,
yeah.
The NXT Stand and Deliver pay-per-view, I did watch that, and there was a great ladder match they had in there.
Mhm.
Of course, now I cannot think of any that was in it, but it was a great ladder match, very entertaining. There was a Hispanic wrestler, like Asando, I think.
I did watch it, so
The guy, whoever he was, I can't remember his name. The moves that he was pulling off, I mean, he did stuff off the ladders and everything. It was a great match, entertaining as hell. Probably one of my favorites to watch. And I don't watch NXT. So catching that, and there seems to be a lot of talent in NXT that is up and coming. So
yeah.
I'm excited to see what they do with that. The fact of what Triple H has done there is great, and I hope to see a lot more come from that brand
Well,
moving forward.
yeah, we'll see. There's a lot since Triple H has been away for so long from NXT. I mean, they fired his whole crew that he was having run on it. I mean, William Regal was a main staple in that. He's now over at AEW, so um, it'll be hard to say. But I've noticed that a lot of the talent in NXT has so much potential, and it'll be so worth the wait to see if and when they come up to the main roster, how they compete. But again, there's already been a few NXT call-ups. You know, Aleister Black no longer with us. Keith Lee no longer with them. So I mean, too many of them just kind of come up from NXT. They do really well, and then they get just destroyed, and they get stupid things like Dewdrop. Her name was not Dewdrop in NXT. They changed it. That was stupid. Butch. That makes no sense. Like, he didn't need a name change, but they keep doing that. They repackage them, and it ruins it. But
yeah,
that's just my thoughts.
Yep.
All
I
right.
think was the first match was the Raw Tag Championship.
Yes.
RK Bro,
Alpha
Providence and
Academy.
Alpha.
Yep. You know, the one I said 2 weeks ago that I bet you anything they will add Alpha Academy. And lo and behold, literally like 3 nights later on Raw, Alpha Academy got added.
But they did, yes, they did.
So that was great.
I like, and I think I told you, I like Otis. I didn't know he was in Alpha Academy. That's how much I have not watched. Didn't know he was in Alpha Academy.
So
the dude is
the last time
huge
you
and
watched
athletic.
Was Tucker around?
That's when I remember Otis was. Yeah, I can't remember what tag team he was with, but
Tucker. Otis
was one.
and Tucker, the blue collar, whatever.
Yeah, that's what it was. And then he had his whole
heavy machinery. There we go.
Girl he was chasing,
Mandy Rose.
Everything, but yeah, this match, I don't like. Okay, bro, I don't know why. It just drives me nuts. I don't like Riddle, his whole thing, but I found him entertaining through the match. It was entertaining.
He is so. I like Riddle, but I also watched him through his MMA days. He's talented as hell.
He is. I'm seeing it more and more.
So fucking annoying, and they let him play the stoner role so much and so well. And I did not like RK Bro originally, but I think this is probably the best that Randy has been in a long time. Um, Probably since
He
his
seems like he's
run.
found his passion again.
Yes, I think the last time he found his quote passion was against Drew McIntyre during COVID, and they were doing all those matches. But he's enjoyable to watch. He's entertaining. They both are. You really have no idea what's going to happen between the two of them at all, and the fact that there's so much speculation of will Randy turn on Riddle and lead to a Survivor's match or what, and the fact that Randy has broken character even on scene and said, "Look, this is the first time in a long time I'm actually enjoying what I'm doing, and I love it. I don't want to change any of this, and I won't let it change because I don't say this often. I don't use the F word often, but Riddle is my friend." And I was like, all right, they're gonna let Randy just kind of. They're letting these two kind of just do whatever they say because they're under the protection of Randy. But
Yeah.
I mean, it makes for great TV, and it's a great chemistry. They work well together. It's nice to see an upcoming star like Riddle go underneath the tutelage of Randy, and hopefully, hopefully, I want Riddle to turn full heel and stop being the stupid, goofy ass stoner kid. But at the same time, it's entertaining.
It may take a lot for him. I don't know. We'll see if he can pull a heel off or not because he's so engulfed in the the stoner character and just kind of who he is. Because I think it's actually that just seems to be who he actually is, playing himself. So I don't know if it'll work, but if he can do it, cool.
I think he would be
Just
more like
we'll see.
I think if he's a heel, he'd be more like a Shawn Michael heel where he's not completely a bad guy, but he's not 100% good guy. He kind of teeters that line a lot, which is what made Michael so great. Is he played a great heel character, but he could also switch over and play a good babyface character.
That's a big icon to compare him to.
It's the only one I can think of that can actually properly do that because like you had John Cena, yeah, Doctor Thuganomics, he did a really good heel, but then after that he was all babyface.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I mean,
it was
it was a good match to kick off.
Yeah, I mean, you had. I mean, it went on a lot longer than I honestly expected. Montez Ford looked phenomenal. A lot of the high flying moves are ridiculous that guy can pull off. The height he gets on Anima, all of his, whether it's a shooting star press, a frog splash, body, whatever, he's ridiculous. And his height over the ropes, his height's up in the air, going off the rope itself, like it's amazing and it's fantastic to watch. Otis is enjoyable to watch as well. He's one of those like I want him to get a push to a mid tier. I don't think he's ready to be a top tier superstar yet, but he could be a very formidable U.S. champion or IC champion and make that title actually mean something nowadays. And open challenges, whatever. Bring the stupid gimmick back, but do something where that title's actually getting recognized on a daily or weekly basis or even monthly versus, what they're doing with Finn Balor. He won against Damian Priest. They had a storyline going. Storyline got nixed because whatever stupid shit. And now we don't have a conclusion to that. He was in an Andre Battle Royal, which he had no purpose in other than just be the final throw over. Like it
was a joke.
Yeah, but then you had Chad Gable, which is super underrated. He's a hell of a superstar. He can pull off a lot of moves. He's a submission technician. He's phenomenal. He's so underrated. But the way they
did see that too.
Yeah, the way they ended it with Chad Stevenson, too many damn Chads. But with Gable going out and insulting Stevenson, the Olympic champion. I think that sets up such a perfect feud between the two of them and have it be Olympian versus Olympian and go into SummerSlam. Truly have it be all about their Olympic accomplishments because Gable's also Olympian too. So, I mean, I think that could be amazing to have those two feud.
I agree. And it could be, that chance for Otis to also make a run.
Yeah.
Gable has that too, so it could work. It may not. Otis may just fall back down because they don't want to push him. I hope they do, just because I like Otis, his athleticism and everything. Just
wish
a
they
guy
bring back his worm.
seems like he can do a lot. I would love that. I love the worm. He did. Yeah, it was just it was an entertaining match and fun. I liked it a lot.
It was a great first match. This would actually mark the first match I was right on, because you picked Street Profit, which I mean of the three groups, it's either Street Profit or RK Bro, but the unison, the synchronicity between Randy and Riddle with the double DDTs, the RKO, catching the RKO, like that's great ending, great match, and the fact that they won. Yeah. I can't wait to see what the feud between them and Street Profit's gonna do. So that's gonna be interesting. Oh, then we had this is another.
Can we just announce this winner and move on?
Yeah, this is.
I was not impressed with this match.
It was
a filler and it sucked.
So the next match is Bobby Lashley versus Omos. 1, no storyline. 2, he's not a great wrestler. Omos is not a great wrestler. He's not ready for a big push. Lashley's still not recovered. He had no business coming back. Like I told you this last night. This should have been a match that started on Monday. Let the feud go through SummerSlam. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it could have been on NXT. But anyways, it should have never been on WrestleMania. It was a filler. This is another one of those matches I fully believe it should have been a U.S. match or an Intercontinental match, not wherever the fuck we're gonna call this. But it was. Yeah. It wasn't enjoyable. It's not even a David and Goliath. It's a big dick energy type match, and that was it. Yeah. It wasn't fun to watch, and
it was boring. It was a filler match. It was like, okay, I gotta go to the bathroom right now. I got 15 minutes.
It took longer than it should have. This was one of those matches that if they wanted to make it Bobby Lashley look strong again and big again, it should have been a squash match. But at the same time, Omos is supposed to be an upcoming star, and they squashed him. Like it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, and
he just is a.
Great. He's not.
What was his? Not Great Khali. Who was the one? Giant Silva. One that Undertaker absolutely hated wrestling against. He came out in the Bigfoot style outfit, furries.
I know I can see him too.
Can't think of his name. But that's who he reminds me of.
Not Sasquatch. God damn it.
Was it he? Yeah, that whole look. But that's who Omos reminds me of. And just the way that he moves, the way he wrestles, and everything about him. I mean, he's a gigantic dude.
And I get it.
That's what slower, he's going to be.
But
yeah.
He's going to turn out to be the next big show. He's going to be a joke. And it's going to be unfortunate because if they treat these giant wrestlers properly, they should be a beast. They should be able to go up against.
But I don't think he has the ability to be that kind of wrestler.
What has been seen, he's not talented on the mic by any means. He's not that great of a wrestler. He's just overall, like, he's not enjoyable to watch. No one's expecting him to come out. No one's excited to see him. They're just kind of like, yay. Woo, Bobby Lashley's back. Done. Not a great match. Probably
he was not
the worst match of the night. Probably tied with the worst match of the night.
You don't even I didn't watch it. I saw the suplex and that was about it, and I was glad it was over. I was honestly looking forward to the next match and see what would happen.
I watched it, but it was more of like I'm over here doing this little number like, oh, okay, yeah, that's cool. Oh, look what's on TikTok. Oh, move happened.
Yeah.
Like
but not.
If you can't keep my attention for 5 minutes, there's something wrong. Just saying.
It was not. It was. Ryan Gonzalez. That was.
There you go.
That's it was. Yeah, it's just that's who he reminds me of. Movement, everything is a waste. I don't know. I don't see a whole lot from him, but maybe he will.
Maybe he'll surprise everybody. On to the next match.
Maybe. Yes.
Which to me, I also felt like was a waste of a match. Too comical, but I will let you have this one because
okay.
One, because Logan I was right. I predicted Johnny Knoxville would win against Sami Zayn. I was right. This fool over here, Rogel, betted on Sami Zayn.
And you know what? And I should have thought about it, but the whole match was, I mean, it was going to be a joke. The whole rivalry has been a joke.
Yeah,
It was selling and promoting the movie
it was
very well,
well,
like they've done
it was selling and
many
promoting what
different
the
things.
match was going to be. Like they didn't set the expectation to be something that wasn't. They said
Right.
this is gonna be a fucking joke of a match. It's gonna be funny. Don't expect something
And
serious. Like it was full on
it
just
was. It was. I mean, I watched a lot of WrestleMania with my daughter, my 5-year-old daughter, and
oh
when they
great
pulled the
show.
mousetraps out on top of the table, it was just like I'm like, okay, this is about to be a lot of fun. Um, and I grew up watching Jackass.
Same,
We did stupid shit like that growing up.
same.
Um,
Not because
just
of Jackass, just
Knoxville's
because of
coming
the
out in
boy.
his the attire that he had and stuff that went on in the match. I mean, seeing Wee Man, seeing Party Boy,
Seeing Wee
some of
Man
those guys.
though, the fact that Wee Man fucking slammed Sami Zayn
Yeah.
like was like I'm not.
Yeah.
It
Sami
always
Zayn's not a big dude by any means, but
no, but he's also we're also talking about a and no offense to midgets, but we're also talking about a very short dwarf midget, whatever we're calling it now. Literally holding Sami Zayn's weight for probably a good 2-3 seconds, and then body slamming him like that was to me that was oh shit this is actually like I didn't know he
yeah.
could do that because even what was the little leprechaun's dude name? He didn't do that.
Hornswoggle.
Yeah, Hornswoggle. He never
I
really
mean,
did that. So
and
it was
seeing
a
that, and then
nice like oh wow this is actually good. This part is good.
yeah, then the boot to the face that he took, because he took it straight to the face, and
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we're telling Sami Zayn to just do you and not worry about it because they're all used to taking shots.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
That that was the big
In
thing
its own
though.
right, it was still a show.
Yeah.
But it was fun.
It was a no. I mean, this was the other special match. It was an anything goes match, but it was one of those things where like Johnny Knoxville and the crew literally said, "Don't hold back. We can take it."
Yeah.
And
And
Sami
then,
Zayn was on board with it too. Of okay, well let's do something. And he took a bowling ball to the nads. He took
yeah,
the biggest bitch slap to the face.
that was awesome. That just because that was one of their skits in an
Yeah.
old
Well,
show.
they all
The
were.
callback for that.
The bowling ball to the nets was
Yeah.
a callback. The slap was a callback. I think
Yeah.
the mouse trap table was a callback to like
Mhm.
they all this shit was hinted at for weeks because even Johnny when Zane said something about it's gonna take a lot of balls to come face me, and he's like, "Well, joke's on you. I took a bowling ball to the nuts," and like they didn't like everything they said this spectacle was gonna be. So I can't be upset about that. But again, it's one of those things of like, did we need it? No. Was it better than Flair versus Rousey? Yes.
It was entertaining. I mean, it was what it was. That it put the rivalry to the end.
It kept
Put
me
the rivalry
entertained.
in it.
It,
It did, and
it
it was
kept me
one of those
entertained.
ones
So
that kind of, it's WrestleMania. It's a spectacle. You're gonna
yeah,
have your celebrities and everything like that. But I mean, just watching some of the stuff that happened in that match was great, and some of them show up, do the thing,
Party Boy.
and Knoxville get the win. You know, just ending it that way was great and fun.
I'm
It was a
honestly
fun match,
amazed.
and
It still shocked me you didn't pick Knoxville because you picked Logan Paul and The Miz. I was like, okay, it's because he's a celebrity. And so when you're like Sami Zayn, I was like, are you fucking serious?
well, I took it as I thought Knoxville was gonna take it as I'm gonna get the absolute shit beat out of me and take everything I can from this and get damn near hit by a car and paralyzed, and then you're gonna pin me. Is what
Nah,
I thought was really gonna happen. Didn't
nah.
think it was gonna be I'm gonna pull every jackass trick out of the book, grab you by the balls with a pair of tongs,
Oh my
throw you off the
god.
top rope. So I didn't really see it, and I also didn't think about our whole crew coming out and
I did not expect
messing
the
with
whole
him. I
crew.
didn't think about that.
That was not a
So
factor for mine. Mine was more
it
of
caught
a
me off guard because I thought Knoxville was just gonna get the absolute shit beat out of him to show he's older but can still get the absolute shit beat out of him.
yeah. And,
It was opposite. They went at Zayn.
but that was one of the things. Like it also fed into the Zayn always losing. I'm sure he's gonna bring it up tonight on
Yeah.
Monday, if not Friday on SmackDown. But it brings into his conspiracy of they're all out to get me. But
hmm
I mean, from the whole storyline, this was by far one of the better storylines they've had going. And the
was
fact
fun.
that there was no deviation from it, you got exactly what they were expecting. Like they didn't set you up to see essentially a Hell in a Cell match between these two. They
Oh,
set you up for an ECW style match. Do what you want, be
yeah.
crazy, and
It was a
it
live Jackass
yeah,
show.
it was a good a good match. Again, a hell of a lot better than Bobby and Omos, whatever his name is, Flair,
Moss.
Omos, and Flair and Rousey. Like this comedic match should have not been as good as it was, and should not have been ranked as high as it was. And it was like one of the top 5 matches by a lot of reviews that are saying. I think it was number 5 for the most part, but it was ranked a lot better than a lot of these other matches. And again, you promise A and you deliver with A. Amazing output, amazing outlook. So it's great. Like I didn't have anything negative to say other than the fact that I can't believe they let Johnny Knoxville only perform. I counted 12 moves total, 10 actual physical moves, 12 moves total with other shit, not including his
That's more than
crew.
some matches
Well,
that
yeah,
were supposed to be
yeah,
a lot better in the
yeah.
same night. So
Not arguing that. I'm just saying they let him beat Sami Zayn, who
yeah,
went through his whole arsenal and still got his ass beat by a
yeah.
mouse trap made of
Well, I
PVC
mean,
pipe.
it was him and a bunch of other
So,
foreign objects. Speaking of foreign objects, next match,
you got UTI? All right, next
the Women's
women's
Tag Team
tag. Yep.
Championship.
So this okay. So let's start this off because I was talking with you before we started this, and I was holding on to this. This was the match I was looking towards a little bit. I instantly knew Carmella and Queen Zelina were not gonna win, so we're just gonna kind of disregard that. However,
Mm.
this was also another match. I didn't say Natalie and Baszler were going to join in, but I did say they're going to turn this into a fatal 4. And the fact that it was only ever 2 women in the match at a time rather than 1 from each team,
Yeah.
that was kind of a letdown. But we had Queen Zelina and Carmella versus Sasha Banks and Naomi versus Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley, also known as Liv for Brutality, and Natalie and Baszler. I
The
told you,
BDSM team.
yes. Live for Brutality, which is Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley, had such fucking hardcore BDSM vibes going off to a point. Like, I kid you not. I'm watching this and I'm messaging Rogel. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, you getting the same vibe?
Gosh, she comes out looking like Batman in a leather suit.
And like, the technical terms, don't get butthurt with us. The technical terms are master and slave, and definitely Rhea was the master, and it was just to the point like my wife even walked in and she's like, what the fuck is this? This is way
Yeah,
too much kink for live TV. I'm just like, look, it's BDSM and horrors looking. Sasha Banks and Naomi were the only two that were like decently dressed between the 3 main people. Natalie and Baszler were just there to be there. But
and
it's just
what the heck, the mask that Carmella was wearing really bothered
oh,
me.
okay, but she's been wearing that for some time because she's the prettiest woman in all of WWE. Like
Right.
I forget who hit her in the nose, but it's so much as like drop the gimmick. The mask feature didn't work for Sheamus. It didn't work for anyone. The only wrestler it kind of worked for was Cody Rhodes back in the day when he legitimately got his
Oh yeah.
eye socket jacked up, and even then it's overplayed. It's been done. You're not reproducing the same results. And the fact that this is a full face mask, it's just
Yeah.
stupid.
It looks like she should have been with Rhea Ripley on the team of that.
Yeah.
She's just the good guy at that point in all
Yeah.
white. But it was a fun match. Again, I watched this one with my daughter. She loves Naomi and
But
Sasha Banks.
well, both of those girls are fantastic
Yes.
superstars. Again, I think, and anybody who's a wrestling fan is probably gonna shit on me for this. I think both of those women, along with Liv and Rhea, are far better overall wrestlers inside WWE than Flair.
I mean, yeah,
Better
Rhea
gimmick,
is
better
talented.
performance and all that. Like, I tune in, and it's not because the outfits. It's these are talented freaking women who will carry this division for years to come. But uh, it was a great overall match. Again, Natalie and Baszler did not need to be in there, and I think I messaged this to you last night. If not, I wrote it in notes that Baszler is still such a dangerous wrestler after all these years, and not just talking about like, oh no, she's the ultimate bad guy. She can get you in this lock. No, just if you watch any of her matches, and it was kind of prevalent last night, she doesn't do very well with protecting her opponent. She's more concerned about, am I looking like the baddest bitch on the planet?
Yeah.
And it
Good.
shows so badly, and she's so dangerous. And the fact that more women haven't been truly her is kind of amazing, but still, eh,
Yeah.
she's not
There were
enjoyable to
some
watch either.
there were some big moves that were pulled off. I mean, the six person slam that they pulled off.
Well, at the start of
You
the
know,
match, you had Liv and Sasha get tagged in, and then Carmella and Zelina, along with Natalie and Baszler, took out Ripley and Naomi, and then you saw Sasha and Liv cross and jump over the rope, and like that was a great move. Again, Sasha never disappoints with a match. She's a high flyer. She's a master technician in that field, and she's just phenomenal to watch. She can make anybody look good. Um, but I think
I was looking for Rhea to wreck shop a lot more than she did
yes,
because of how big and how much of a powerhouse she is. I wanted to see more from her, but obviously there's 7 other
yeah,
wrestlers in the ring, so you can't do much. But I wanted to see her kind of a little more dominance to play on with her character. But yeah, to do that, to kind of have that freak out moment
yeah,
of everything,
show it
just
off.
yeah.
And that's why I
So
was
I want to say I
hoping.
didn't see, I remember seeing it.
No, I mean she almost got ripped tight on Sasha, but
She had her
I
spots.
mean the fact that I was really banking on her taking the mask off of Carmella because that's what she's been doing for weeks. Um, her just being powerhouse and running roughshod over everyone, and the fact that her and Baszler did not go one on one in the match was kind of upsetting because if you're gonna have two strong women do it, those are the two that I would suggest to do it and make Rhea look even more powerful. But I mean, it was a good match, and I will say Naomi and Sasha Banks working together just looked amazing. It worked out really well. Uh, just overall, great match, and the fact that Sasha Banks finally broke her WrestleMania losing streak as of
Mhm.
prior to last night. She was 0-6, and now she is 1-6, and she won the tag titles at WrestleMania this time. So it was a good thing for Sasha. It finally broke that stigmatism that has followed her for years, which is honestly why I did not predict Sasha and Naomi. You did, because Sasha has never won. I knew that going in, and I just figured, okay, Naomi's not really doing too much either because she's going to bat with Sonya Deville over on SmackDown, the GM. Um, so I didn't think they'd put a title around her as well. So I was like, whatever. I was really hoping she would join Roman Reigns and the Usos and join her husband
No,
over there. So, but still,
I picked
still good.
that was strictly a pick for my daughter. My daughter likes those two. She's always liked them just because
Yeah,
they're the colorful the colorful tag team or the colorful wrestlers as she calls them with the lights and the
the
flash and the
glow.
colorful hair and everything.
Yeah,
So she likes them, and so I took that one.
yeah. I mean, it was a
It
good match.
was pulled out.
I mean,
She went
honestly,
nuts when they won,
yeah.
so she got excited.
I mean, it was going to be one of the two. It was not going to be anyone else. It was going to be one of our two picks, and we did like you'll see. I'll post up the score sheet later, but you'll see like we predicted everything correctly. Um, so it was just a matter of was it both of us or just him and I, and that was just one of those matches that I was seriously surprised, and I was very happy to let Sasha Banks have a WrestleMania moment. I was very happy to let Naomi have her WrestleMania moment. Now, what are they going to do though? Because the women's division outside of the main title is a joke. It's always the same women fighting for the main titles on Raw and SmackDown. And tag team division as a whole, both men and women, has just kind of been a joke. And they're not very utilized and relevant on the match cards. So is Sasha Banks and Naomi, is this finally going to be the time they're like, okay, we need to stop fucking around with the women's division and put some tag teams together instead of just this woman with this woman. You guys are a team for this week. After that, don't worry. Or are they going to do real partnerships like the guys have? So but it'll be interesting to see where this goes. I hope it doesn't get put to the wayside like Sasha Banks' first run with the tag titles when she had Bayley, but only time will tell.
Yeah. The next few ones I'm excited about, though. For sure, I think.
I'm excited about 2 of them, not all 4 of them. So the next one, the next one, I honestly like. Again, you predicted AJ. I predicted Edge. I was right. It's Edge versus AJ Styles, and I told you this last night. This was such a much needed overhaul. Did I tell you, or was that just a note? This is such a much needed overhaul for Edge, and I even said, hey, I think he's gonna get a stable, and he did at the end. Damian Priest, but Edge.
I like Priest.
Edge just looked great. It was a great match. Styles had an injury with his shoulder, and the fact that he, like, you could see it wasn't placed in correctly, and you could see his shoulders kind of go back. And I've watched that because
he attempted to put it back in too.
Yeah, I've watched that clip probably a dozen times today. I'm just like, because seeing people get their shoulder displaced and they're like, hold on, I'm gonna be a ballsy man. Oh, it's back in now. It's one of those I'm like
Lethal Weapon style.
I was like, ugh. Awesome.
Mel Gibson made it look so easy.
But this match was just, I think it was a great match. I do.
Two of the greats. I mean, Edge, phenomenal wrestler. AJ Styles, another phenomenal
This
one.
was a dream match. Like, this was definitely a dream match that they've never faced before. 2 totally different eras. Edge has always been mainstream WWE. AJ Styles has always been independent / Impact, and now he's, well, not now, but decade plus ago, he came into WWE, and he's this generation. So it was a great just overall match. The high flying moves from Styles still, and the catching of the spear to AJ Styles at the end. Like, I don't think I have anything negative to say other than, no, I don't got anything negative to say. I'm looking at my notes now. I don't have anything negative to say.
The character or persona that Edge is now taking on that seemed to, like, it simply kind of came out of nowhere. I don't know if there was really any lead up to it. I know he just happened to show up one night in that
he did. So we got a
darker
glimpse.
era.
Well, we got a glimpse that this was going to happen back when he was feuding with Seth Rollins, and he did the Brood phase where he did the Brood bath. But that was kind of the introduction of how well is this being received. Oh, it's being received very well. Okay, let's take it a little bit darker, and kept getting just a little bit more and more darker. And then AJ was the trigger that they pulled it on, and went, okay, let's test this out. And it's going to be so promising. And
his entrance was great.
Yeah, just
whole sitting on the throne with the fire, coming out with, I don't know exactly what it was, but it was like obviously long leather Undertaker-esque, but also rude style, vampire style.
It was
the half cape.
The darkness.
So it was definitely really cool to see him in that
evil
character.
warlock.
I liked it a lot.
That's what it reminded me of.
You played
evil warlock
he
from
went
World of Warcraft.
He went from LARPing to WrestleMania. It was.
It's really good.
I like it, and I hope to see a lot more. The fact that he now has Damian Priest has me even more excited because I do like Damian Priest, and I think that dude has a lot of potential.
He needs.
Just hope that he sticks with it and listens to the crowd and goes along with it in a way that Edge did with Gangrel and the Brood.
And I mean, I agree with
You
you.
know,
I love watching Priest work. I hate that he was a baby face up until recently. He's not a good baby face. He does not have that. His appearance as
oh,
a
his look is
whole,
not.
no, it's not baby face. That is definitely pure heel. So
If
I
he
can't
sticks with
wait.
Edge,
Oh, it's gonna be
I think
so.
it will pull out
So
darker heel side of him.
I have this noted down that so clearly we have a pure evil stable going. Do you think they're gonna have a angelic slash good stable? And if so, is AJ Styles slated to be the leader of that one and have this be like a best of three type match, but it's no longer just the two of them?
I don't know if they pull AJ Styles because if it's I don't know. I don't see it. I don't see it being that. I think I see more, and what I'd like to see, honestly, is them to just wreak havoc inside the roster on anyone they can, and
Do
just
you,
kind of take on that dark persona
do you want just the
of.
two of them, or do you
So
want a
they
third?
could pull somebody else too, but it's just don't want them to pull somebody just to have somebody.
So,
It has to be. I don't know
so
anybody
I
else they can
haven't.
really pull right now.
Okay. So I was thinking this would only work, but it doesn't work right now. It would he would have to take some time off and come back. But Finn Balor would also work perfectly in this with his Prince of Darkness and the Demon.
He would, but I think that's maybe too predictable.
Yes, that's. I mean, but it's too
Same thing with
predictable. But
like
at the
Bray
same time,
Wyatt.
like, yeah, I don't know.
It'd be predictable as well.
He would be the he would be predictable. But my other thought, I made a note of this was it's very unlikely. But the fact that everybody's speculating about Taker that he ended up his ceremony with never say never, so he'll come back. Um, Here's my thought. I would love to see this because it'd be three totally different generations. I think it would not only help Edge, but it would help Priest. And then if they wanted Taker to do one more match, this would be the way to do it: is have Taker come in, kind of Ministry of Darkness type thing again, but Brood, whatever that Edge is going on, and just have him kind of make an appearance here and there, and Edge tie back and say, this is where I got from, or whatever. Find his urn, however they want to do it, doesn't matter. But I would personally like to see that because Taker has been my favorite wrestler since day one, and it just I think it'd be so cool. He already has that darkness, but he's revealing so much of himself now. I don't know if it would work anymore since he's no longer Taker.
I think Edge can run on his own
Yeah.
and be that stable, but it just takes the right addition to be able to pull. And thinking about it with like American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. Yes, I don't want that to happen. I want Cody to have his own run. I want him to continue with the American Nightmare,
Well, I was just
all
saying,
that stuff, and just have what he has, but not get pulled into somebody else and then be shadowed under Edge unless they want to have that break it in Edge and Cody and go that route
and
of
that's kind of what I
feuding.
was just thinking.
But that's
Cody could be
long ways down the road.
good factor, the good faction,
Yeah.
stable. So that'd
Yeah,
be an
so I mean,
interesting match.
it could be. I mean, American Nightmare against
The Nightmare,
whatever. Yeah, something like that. But it could get interesting. I hope it does. But the way writing goes now, they'll probably cut half the roster.
Yeah, I don't
Wednesday.
know. I mean, they can. I agree with you. They could do this just by themselves, but they definitely need to be able to just destroy everybody. It needs to be everybody, including the likes of Bobby Lashley, and maybe even ending this whole feud with a spear versus spear match of Reigns versus Edge. And Damian Priest is the benefactor that comes in and just destroys the Usos and makes sure they don't become a factor inside their match. And
It could be that, and then the third that they add, that would be
Yeah.
the two to take out the Usos.
Yeah.
But it just takes that whole thing of who is the third if they're going to do it.
But they could also do it where it's just the two of them and make it look like their stable is significantly better than the tribal family stable. That you need three people, we have two. So you.
So they could. I
not
think to
likely,
get really gain traction, they would have to have at least three.
Yeah.
I do see what you're saying. Yeah, it does make sense.
So
Oh, yeah, excited to see what happens there because it could be fun to watch, and especially a dark one.
Yeah. Again, this is one of those things, like I was saying with the Austin matchup. This is kind of going away from that PG now. They're going more towards leaning the PG-13 route, and as long as they keep leaning into it properly, I think it would work really well. I'm personally excited because I'm a huge fan of Edge too. Really, all the OG wrestlers that are still around, I'm a fan of.
That are still around. Yeah.
But like,
Yeah. No, it was
Damian
great.
Priest
It's
has
got
so much
it's got
talent,
potential.
so
Oh yeah, it
it's
does.
gonna be interesting.
See where it goes.
All right, well
Like where the next match went.
let's just jump into this shit show. This was still better than Bobby Lashley and Omos. The New Day
It was
versus
forced.
yeah. Well, yeah, because I told you this. This was canceled. You can go read Twitter even, and this match was canceled. New Day versus Fight Night. Sheamus and Ridge Holland. One, this match ended so bloody quick. It was a waste of time.
It was another filler.
Yeah, but it wasn't. It wasn't even a filler because it was a filler originally, and then they canceled it and they refilled it with the filler. Yeah, it's just. It was such.
I don't. No, I don't get. I liked how they attribute to Big E. What they wore, ring attire.
Yeah.
They did his moves. Xavier King Woods, excuse me.
No,
Looks like he's put on
Xavier
some
Woods again.
serious. He's put on some serious muscle.
Yeah.
Really, I don't know. This G4 makes him do push-ups every time he loses a match or what, but the dude, his physique looks great. He looked good. Kofi obviously looked good. Sheamus is Sheamus. Ridge Holland would never allow to do a suplex ever again. And I don't know who the small honey badger they had
Butch.
running around trying to bite people's ankles, but that
That
dude was
he's
just weird.
I forget his name from NXT, but he's an NXT original, and he was
Mm,
fantastic. Or Pete Dunne, there we go. He was a
okay,
powerhouse. He was fantastic. He was
he's tiny.
very he was very good though in NXT. But he's one of those that suffered the repackage. They took away his
Mm.
name, they took away his persona, and they said you're the Bulldog, essentially, and you're Butch. Like what?
Yeah, I don't know. He was
It,
annoying.
it was a stupid
Whole match
match.
was annoying. I
It's
mean,
not.
the whole
Yeah.
3.5 minutes that it was.
It's not worth going too much into. It's a joke of a
No.
match. It was a waste of a match. Again, I see your U.S. match could have been there. Screw those two people over. Let's get these other jokes of matches in. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Let me go on to the next one.
this match though was one I was anticipating
It was
so
impressive.
much. It was so impressive. Pat McAfee versus Austin Theory. I was so happy for this. We both guessed Pat McAfee, duh, but this was McAfee looks so impressive. Seven Armies music hit was amazing. Just I literally have nothing negative to say about this other than what happened after the match.
Match with Austin Theory was good. Pat McAfee looked good. You can tell he's put in the work. He's always wanted to be in WrestleMania. That's been
Yep.
his bucket list, everything like that. He is trained for it. He's put in the time, but he did not look as good as. I mean, he didn't look as good as Logan Paul.
But
I
again,
don't want
uh,
to cheat for it, but he didn't look as good. He is a tad bit older, yes, but don't think.
I will give
I mean,
you
I don't think McAfee's gonna make a run for anything.
I think he'll play. He's had a match before in NXT. It wasn't great. It was very short. But there's also a massive difference. You're talking about somebody who's a commentary professional athlete as well.
Yes.
But he's not. He's training. I think is his deal. Whereas Logan Paul is a boxer. He's practicing MMA. He's doing all this other
You
extra
need to
shit.
put quotes up with boxer
I
because that
know.
dude is not a boxer.
None of them are. Him nor his brother. They all jokes.
No.
But what I mean by that though is like it all correlates into wrestling, so it helps a little bit with it. And then I'm sure him and the Miz were practicing a lot versus Pat McAfee would be practicing by himself or with other people. But for being what or who he is, leaving it as just face value, he's a commentator. He came in, he put on a hell of a show, and you and I even talked about this last night. The fucking impressiveness of the backflip off the top turnbuckle being pushed off by Theory. You could see the shock in Theory's face even when he landed the backflip. Then for McAfee to go and just full on leopard leap onto the top rope to go into a superplex. Like that whole 3-part move was just like it was one of those like I watched. I was like, oh my god, that's a good backflip. Holy shit! Did you see that jump?
And then he just straight jumped, yeah.
And I was like, oh my god.
Which, I mean, the guy has leg power. He was a punter. I mean, the guy does nothing but work
Punted with
legs.
1 foot. Quite.
Oh,
1 foot.
but
1 foot.
he's got the
One
ability.
foot.
Um, he was. I mean, yeah, it was a great match. Um, entertaining as hell. I was glad to see McAfee get the win.
I was gonna be so
I
upset.
think
You
it
didn't like that was
kind
the
of
match.
ruined everything after that.
Yeah. So again, don't have to go
It
much
was,
into it, but the fact that I don't know if it was planned. That's the problem I have. I don't know if it was scripted or if it was just kind of a spur of the moment type thing. Either way, it was not needed and it should never happen. But the fact that he challenged Vince McMahon and Vince McMahon ran roughshod on him, like I don't think McAfee landed a single move.
no,
And,
and
and
if you
Grant,
could have known it too, like man came out in his orthopedic wrestling shoes.
the long walk.
Oh, and I said something like when the man came out
I
in
know.
orthopedic dress shoes.
I
I'm like,
know.
okay, now it makes sense of like, okay,
Why?
he has wrestling shoes on. Makes sense. He's getting in the ring.
Yeah.
Okay, he's gonna do some stuff. Okay, he takes off his shirt, and dude, for 76 years old, man still has
Still,
an
yeah.
impressive physique.
Yeah.
He
And we talked
definitely
about it.
looks like he has all of his rolls and sagginess tied up behind his hair somewhere. But his physique is great, but you can definitely tell he's stiff
Yeah.
and he's not as fast as he used to be
No, it was.
as far as it comes to the wittiness. Because after the fact of when he's going through and Austin Theory is going to the corners
Yeah.
and they go to do the hug, and after that they play Austin Theory's music. If you watch McMahon, he freaks out.
But yeah,
He misses his cue because he thought it was Stone Cold's music. He missed his cue. He screwed it up.
Yeah.
So he screwed that up, and then
He's
Austin came out and he tried to do his whole um, deep swallow,
yeah.
like oh shit, thing. Which I mean, he definitely recovered from it. It
Ugh.
was just funny watching when Austin Theory's music hit, and he kind of freaked out for a second. It's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna dance now and look like a dumbass.
Well, then you have that, and then just like the fact that he didn't take a single bump. And I get why he's 76 years old, but the fact like go just stunner or not stunner. Steve Austin's music finally hits. He comes down, classic. He stuns Theory. Told you last night that was the best sold edition of a stunner. I think that was. I honestly would put that up there with The Rock's, if not better, with selling the
The
stunner. And
Rock
that's just
oversold it too, and Austin Theory did as well.
that was
It was
like
great.
it was amazing. That was the first time I was like, oh, good job, Theory. But
Yeah.
when he tried to do the classic, here, Vince, take a beer, and they drink a little
Yeah.
bit, they butched that like not a spring
Yeah.
chicken. Clearly, he kicked him, and maybe he kicked him a little too hard and actually like pushed further back on cue, whatever. But Vince stumbled and could not get up, and then when he did get up, Austin's just like, okay, and he was
He
laughing
bounced
like
against the ropes, and then tried to, and then
yeah, he
man just
laughed.
kind of to his knees. Yeah, he got up. He got up laughing, and then
He didn't
that's
take it
when.
serious.
Oh hell no! That's when he knew it. He
And
knows McMahon is
and
way past his prime.
he stunned
I mean,
McAfee. And did you see his like on his podcast where McAfee's like, I actually like that was not planned at all, and Austin, tossing me beers and everything, and we get ready to put our two beers together in before stun, and he goes, all right, man, go to the right. You good with that? And that's what they're talking about, the little chat they have. And he's like, yeah. I said, yeah, who doesn't want to be stunned by Stone Cold? So I took
yeah,
it, and yeah, I definitely just kind of bit my chin on his shoulder, rolled out, and you caught me on
and
camera having another beer. So
his McAfee's stunner was good. I mean,
it was
he
solid.
took
Yeah.
it and he sprayed the beer
Yep.
up and then went down. He didn't just he didn't bounce off the canvas and do a backflip and anything else. He took it and sold it pretty well, and that's what led into the 19 beers thrown
But
Stone Cold.
but this is also like uh, I was talking about earlier, seeing Austin come back. He could, and this would be my theory in hopes, play on the word, is let him come back and do a versus the boss match again, where it's McAfee and Austin versus Theory and Vince. As much as I would love for that to happen, after seeing how Vince moved, I don't think it's feasible, but that would be like a great send off and everything for Austin to finish how he started his career of defeating the boss. But again,
Yeah,
I don't think
I would
I
see
don't think Vince
more of a
could.
Shane. You see Shane more than Vince of like, no, Dad, let me take your
Shane's out of
spot,
the
let me
company
take
though.
this type thing. But I don't see McMahon doing
Not another
full
Shane
match.
though.
He may die. I don't know. It was definitely fun to watch everything.
It was so enjoyable.
Yeah, there was on that one there were 19 beers thrown, drink, drink, and he only dropped two. He dropped two of the 19,
Sure, he talked to the beer boy.
and one was a bad throw. One came up short. So he out of the 19 he threw, he drank 10, but he threw off a couple. He threw a couple to McAfee and
Yeah,
whatnot.
he threw one
Um,
to his brother for that
like
night one.
yeah, he did. He had threw one with his brother. But his brother didn't even. It bounced off his brother's chest and went through his hands. And his
I
brother
just
has
saw
horrible
this him
hands.
go.
Obviously, it doesn't run in the family to catch beer. So, but in the total 2 nights, 47 beers thrown, 26 were drank, were dropped. Looking at it, and grand total of because those beers are not cheap.
They're his beers
Just going off
though.
what he was drinking, it was $3.99 beer. So $187 of beer thrown.
Jesus.
He drank $103. He only dropped $31 beer.
It's his
So
beer. Shut up. He can do what he wants. You get your own brewing company and we talk.
it was just funny because I wanted to just pull those stats because of how much beer was thrown, drank, and dropped, and it was just entertaining because Stone Cold has always had his nights of drinking beer and doing just crazy shit or anything he wanted. It
Yeah.
was it was fun to see it, and it was the most entertaining stuff I've seen in a while.
In a long,
Having
long
him,
time.
it was great. It was just fun. Pulling those stats were kind of fun too, just because I had to go back through and watch each beer being thrown, each beer being dropped, and each beer. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was doing. I was pointing. I was like, okay, slow it down, go back. Slow it down, go back.
I think I
Which
missed.
one dropped?
You,
It was just fun.
you know
It was
what
it
was?
was an entertaining one.
Oh, it was. He was entertaining both nights. You,
You can tell he was having a blast the entire time too.
yeah. You know what was not fun?
Hmm.
Was one. Hold on. But no, that was a great match. You know what honestly wasn't great though? Fucking next match.
Open.
This match
Nothing
was,
about it was fun.
dude, no, that was so fucking disappointing though because this was a match that should have been stellar. This should have been a great match. You had Brock Lesnar, who you chose by the way, against Roman Reigns. You have Beast Incarnate versus a Tribal Chief. There is nothing on paper even that says this should have been a bad match.
No, I mean you take the Beast in country attire versus the Red Hot Chili Pepper. I don't know. Like looking at it,
Shut
it
the.
was gonna be a great match, but how do you? I don't know. It was pissed. I was not happy with it, and I don't know if
Well,
it's because what happened with Roman, or the fact
so
that
hard.
Brock Lesnar's matches are not that entertaining. Neither are Roman
Well,
Reigns' matches. I don't
if he
think they
gets
are,
if he
but
gets the right opponent, Brock Lesnar has a very entertaining match. Like him with smaller guys like AJ Styles and Rey Mysterio's, those were good matches. Again, they're not fantastic, but they are good matches
no.
because you match powerhouse against speed. That always gives a good match if they can play off each other. But
Do
it's just I mean, we talked about this yesterday. We're like Pat McAfee at the beginning of that match. They had what, an hour and a half left of WrestleMania, roughly.
hmm?
Their match took 40 minutes, which was
God, yes.
fantastic. And then you had roughly 30 to 40 minutes left after ads and promotions, all this stupid bullshit. Uh, they had 30 minutes to 40 minutes left. And it took, I think the time was uh, 10 to 15 minutes, roughly, I think was the exact time. Well, not exact time, the time ballpark, whatever. So it was cut half. And again, we don't know if it's because of a possible injury that Reigns sustained from maybe the Kimura lock, because watching the footage back several times and seeing all the pictures even where you can see Reigns' back arm, his tricep area is,
Mm.
it's tan, it's his skin color. And then after the Kimura lock, there's just a big giant red rash, almost looks like it's a bruise.
Yeah.
And you can see his tricep muscle is no longer elongated, it's bunched up at the top. Uh, and we even talked about where, well, maybe it was his shoulder because you could hear him get on the apron. They zoomed in, so you knew that was a shoot. My ass went, oh shit, this could actually be an injury because I've seen that Kimura lock snap
Yeah.
Triple H's. So
Yeah.
I was like, oh damn. And he's like, dude, it's out, it's popped out, it's out, it's out, it's out. And
Mm.
of course, Paul Heyman sold it very well. Of no, Tribal Chief, this is for
Oh my
your
God,
memory. You have to like. It's to the point where I was
I
like, shut
wanted
the
to get
fuck
away from
up,
him.
shut the fuck up.
I could go away. My tribal chief. Shut up, Paul Heyman.
But I fully believe that this match was supposed to go 30 minutes, if not 20, 25. And I'll give my reason for the 20 minutes, but I think this was supposed to go the whole length. And I think the injury, kind of like with the Usos, was it's an oh shit moment. Hey, something was said. The ref probably said, yep, he's injured. Brock, we got to end this. Let's go. Um, I personally would love to see it go that long. I think you would have too. And you mentioned this, and it's actually very highly speculated now because everybody realized that The Rock's mom and grandma was at WrestleMania.
It could have been or Roman, the
Yeah.
Usos. It's hard to tell. I mean, there's a lot of their family that's there, and they
Yeah.
even have. I didn't know it, but there's another family member
Uso.
that's in NXT,
Yeah. He'll make his
who looks
upcoming.
identical to one of the Usos and
Yeah,
Roman. Like
he's
they.
Uso's brother. He's the Uso's legitimate
Okay,
brother.
so yeah, I mean that's.
Uh,
I mean,
and they signed him from
and
independent circuit to
he
come
looks.
on.
He
So
looked great too, just in NXT. He's in the ladder match I talked
yeah.
about. He looked great too.
But the thing was, the speculation on it was The Rock was no longer in Hawaii as of Friday, and he's been in Hawaii like we stated for several times. So there was kind of that speculation of where did he go, and he's shooting a lot of training. So and
Yeah,
that's
I was hoping for it.
Yeah, and that's why I thought maybe okay, maybe this won't take the full 30 minutes. Maybe this will take 20 minutes. The Rock will come out. They'll have a stare down, a showdown, or maybe he'll congratulate Reigns, and then Reigns will inevitably turn on The Rock, and thus starting a feud to next WrestleMania because it's going to be in Hollywood. So it'd be a perfect time to kickstart it like they did with John Cena and The Rock, a year in the making. Just kick it off. Maybe do 3 matches, third match being at WrestleMania, and of course The Rock would have to lose. Again, passing the torch.
And I think that would help push Roman, I think, as well, because I don't think he's quite there yet. This head of the table gimmick that he's running
It would
is
solidify
working.
it. It would solidify
I think it's starting to lose momentum, and
Well,
I think it would help
because
if
look at
that.
all his opponents. There's no legitimate opponent other than Edge, and that was botched by having Seth Rollins, I think, in that triple threat match. Okay, that was stupid. They had McIntyre, but again, I understand why they not botch it, why they made it a dirty finish, because they can't make McIntyre look better than Reigns, and they can't make Reigns look better than McIntyre because these are their two horses for the WWE. But there's so many outcomes where he doesn't win clean. I get that's like the ultimate heel persona. But if he's gonna play this heel role and he's gonna do these big matches at pay-per-views, he needs to win virtually clean. He can do the dirty tactics during it, but have a clean finish and not some bullshit like we saw last night where he spears Lesnar into the corner, which then is where the ref is. So it's like, oh really? That's stupid. Whatever.
One thing I did like, and I'm not a huge Brock Lesnar fan. It's always been kind of like he's the big dude that can pretty much destroy anybody. I mean, New Age Goldberg
Who
back when he had his run.
probably better,
But
honestly.
see him since he's gotten this man bun ponytail,
Which is all
on his
done by a
beard,
dare, which is probably the best
and
part of that.
seeing I don't know what's happened, but getting away from Paul Heyman has probably helped. That Paul Heyman no longer talks for him. And
He's being
he has
himself.
that kind of I don't give a shit. I'm gonna do what I want, act how I want, and the fact that he announced himself last night,
That
took off
poor
his
announcer.
gloves.
That poor
T-
announcer.
He he took his gloves off, also tossed those to the side, and I don't know if he's starting to kind of figure out his own character and run on his own, if his own creative style. If he does, that's great because I want to see more of it because I want to see the guy can't talk. But if he continues with the I don't give a shit attitude and I'm gonna go in the back, chop wood, bang my wife, drink beer, do my thing, cool. That's Brock Lesnar. That's what it needs to be. But my God, shave the Viking hairdo.
But okay, so the hairdo is all by Derek. He even came on an interview. Why do you have this? And he's like, I had a buddy text me and say, I bet you won't do this. I said, watch me. So I love, like, it has nothing to do with
But that's cool too,
WWE,
though.
but
That's
it's so funny because you're seeing a whole different side of Brock Lesnar, and I agree with you. I think him stepping away from Heyman finally, and I don't think he's terrible on the mic. He's not fantastic either, especially when compared to like Cena and The Rock. Because
yeah,
Reigns is still not great on the mic, which I think is why he is paired with Heyman, because Heyman is obnoxiously good at the mic.
true.
But the fact
I
that
think with
you see just it's Brock. It's Brock. He's always had that I don't give a
all,
fuck, you can't touch
yep,
me attitude, but it was always Heyman portraying it, and now you're seeing it's Brock incorporating,
that
and
raw
then
and
he's really
uncut.
just going fuck you, I'm doing it anyways. And it's so much
I'm
more
hope.
enjoyable to see Brock, but
Yeah,
I think he's gonna go on a little vacation for a little bit,
I
and
mean
hopefully
that's
not
his
come back.
contract. He does what he wants. I mean, the guy has the best contract in wrestling, hands down.
Yeah,
I mean, he's got to do like what 8 appearances a year,
I don't
but
I don't even know
I think that
anymore.
he's now shed his. I'm hoping that he has. He shed his whole UFC past by taking the gloves off, taking off the UFC gloves, moving forward, and just coming back as the Barbarian. Is what I think he's going to be.
The farmer barbarian,
Yeah,
the nomad. There we go, the nomad.
the nomad Barbarian
But
plaid shirt.
I was,
Maybe Triple H should give him a sledgehammer. He can run that style. I don't know. I'm hoping to see not a whole lot, but
I mean, I will,
something fun.
I will say this. While you kept track of beers, uh, I thought it would be interesting because I knew this match was going to be very finisher slash special move heavy,
Mm,
or at least I thought it was going to be. Again, we're not sure why it ended short. Pretty sure it's because of the injury. Not sure yet. They're announcing it right now on Raw. Well, they did on Raw a few hours ago. Um, but so Reigns performed 4 or 5 spears. I believe it's 4, but I also looked away for like a split second. Um, but he performed 4 to 5 spears and 3 Superman punches to Brock. And
mm.
every time he did, minus the last one, Brock got up laughing, which to me I found hilarious because he laughed when Brock mimicked the Undertaker doing his sit up pose. He laughed just for the Undertaker to sit up too, turn to him, and do his evil little stupid chuckle that he did that at WrestleMania. Um,
Yep.
but then you have Lesnar. He only hit one F5 the entire time. Reigns hit his finisher first, was the big
He did.
speculation.
Spear.
Uh, but then you had only 9 German suplexes from Brock. Like that's really low. He sent, I think John Cena took like 16 or 20 some suplexes. Uh,
I
McIntyre
think there's
took
only
one.
like 5 moves total in this entire match.
Well,
5
because
spear.
they kept trying to repeat it, but then
Yeah.
uh, and this is I think what ended the match essentially, and or caused the match to end, which was Brock was only able to lock on one Kimura lock, um,
Mm,
and that's kind of where the injury entail lies potentially because he doesn't have the bruise or the strain or the muscle or pulled muscle prior, but you see it very prominent after the Kimura lock. Um, which, by the way, if you've ever had that performed on you, that's a nasty move too. Just
Yes, it is.
especially if you can get the legs wrapped, that's such a fucking nasty move.
I mean, it's a legit move,
He's
UFC style, everything.
he's
It's
tapped
not.
people out on in UFC. He's won titles with that. Like, yeah, it's a nasty fucking move.
It is
It's
a
not like
legit move.
it's not like the ankle lock. I know why you hate the ankle lock, but just to double back on that, like every time I see that
Shamrock.
move, my distress with it isn't even because like Shamrock or Angle or whoever. It's the fact like
Problem.
I'm looking at this move. I've had this move performed on me, and while yes it hurts, it's one of the easiest submissions to get out of because you're on your belly and somebody has your leg up typically. Sure, if they lay down and like cinch their legs around you, it's harder to get out of. But it's one of the easiest submissions to get out because you can just kind of whoop, tuck back under or reach over and grab their foot like
As long as you're not locked in
on the ground. Yeah,
on the ground,
that's the
it's
thing.
it's a little bit easier to maneuver.
But very few wrestlers locked in on the ground. Rousey did 2 or 3 ankle locks to Flair and only locked in once on the ground. So, just saying.
I think the first time Brock Lesnar ever did the Kimura, he dislocated Triple H's shoulder.
Yeah, he did. And
Bad.
Yeah,
He cranked the shit out of that one, and then
he pulled the
he had to
ripped the
learn.
muscle. He ripped the muscle completely from it because
Yeah.
he was out of wrestling for I think like 6 or 7 months, not just from like surgeries, but also from like multiple surgeries and rehab. So I mean, it's a nasty fucking move, and he definitely had to dial it back and he's gotten better about it. But I think last night may have been a little too much. So
And I think with way he may have gotten caught up in it, but just looking at like even it was weird like when he had the Kimura on, like Brock's face went purple.
it changed, yeah.
Like it was like he was cranking, like trying to rip his shoulder completely off. I don't know. I don't know if he just put too much into it, got too much into the hype of it, but
Hard to say.
was not pretty at that point.
Like it was one of those like
Oh, yeah.
I fully expected the shoulder to come out, the muscle be tearing, and it looks like it did. But I'm amazed Heyman didn't push that rope sooner because the ref never saw it. So I mean, or never saw it. He should have pushed it sooner and ended it, but I think they prolonged that to make it look like it's so much more of a shoot than what it was. Because now it's like, well, now you fucked up.
Yeah.
The match was only 15 minutes long. It should have been doubled. Because these two behemoths could have put on a 45-minute, an hour-long show with no issue, but they didn't because of a bad incident. And WrestleMania as a whole had several bad incidents from blown knees to dislocated shoulders. Like, shoddy moves that should have never been done, but
No, I don't know how much of an actual match going forward they can have with these two because
no, they're
I
done.
don't know that
They're
they
done.
need an
They cannot have these two go again for
no,
probably
not
a
these.
year.
I'm just talking about like I feel like Reigns needs more of an arsenal when it comes to moves.
He needs to bring in some aerial moves. He's way too much just ground and pound, and it's becoming boring.
Which I mean, he can be a ground and pound kind of guy. He just needs more moves than a spear and a Superman punch and a few other things like he needs to do more.
The ground and pound.
I hope he can.
But the ground and pound really only works if you have like a background in MMA or boxing or some form of actual fighting, so where it's sold more easily. He doesn't have that as far as I know. And I think if he were to be taking boxing classes and become a striker, then the ground and pound would be more successful because it would be more believable versus here's this guy that does Superman punches and spears. He tosses suplexes every time, fireman carry into Samoa drop. Like, there's not a lot of moves in his arsenal, and I think that's where he becomes very stagnant. He's still enjoyable to watch, but I think that's more because you're watching the other person, not so much Reigns. So,
I mean, Brock's arsenal is not very deep either.
no, but he's still more impressive than. I'd
Yes.
rather watch Brock than Reigns. But
It would be interesting to see what happens between the two, where they go, because I think Brock is evolving and Reigns needs a little bit more of a push from something to get him to that point because he's just not there yet. It's hard.
He needs the perfect opponent. I think McIntyre would be the perfect opponent for him, but they've been putting that off so much because you're at this point, at this conjunction, you're looking at essentially The Rock versus Stone Cold or Randy Orton versus Cena. Like you're talking about two iconic characters inside of WWE going at it, and this feud needs to be like it's going to last more than just a year or two. It's going to last the rest of their
I
career
thought
or so.
I thought Rollins and Reigns was going to be one to really elevate him because how great Rollins is, but I didn't see. That was a good match, but it wasn't what I thought it was going to be.
I didn't like that
Saw a
match.
little more of the mind games from it, but just don't know.
I,
Rollins needs to get something to evolve a little bit more.
but
I think.
Rollins had what, three career shifts over, or three persona shifts over COVID to this or to today,
Yeah.
and it's just none of them have sold. None of them are good. Like the Architect was good when he was with the Shield, and then when he betrayed the Architect, those are his two solid things. And then when he picked up this Messiah complex bullshit, it's just like you're unsufferable. Like at this point, like I don't insufferable. Sorry,
Yeah.
unsufferable.
He's
And,
kind of annoying on the mic.
but he's like
He
he's not. He's good in the ring. I will give him that. But he's one of those guys that I'm starting to get to the point where like I don't care if he's on. I'm not watching him anymore. Whereas his Shield days, awesome. Post Shield days, awesome. The Messiah complex, I literally started going, get this fucker off the mic. Stop letting him talk. His cackle is obnoxious and it's doing its job, but the cackle is obnoxious. It's just kind of killing his character, and he's also not being highlighted either as like a top tier, even mid tier. He's a floater at this point. And him and Reigns should have been a better match. You would think they would be a better match with the history between them. It was so I think McIntyre would be the best thing, and then Cody Rhodes when he's officially ready to get into the title picture, because I'm sure that's part of his contract. He made it very known before WrestleMania and after WrestleMania when he got interviewed in his little documentary that I only came back to win the title to do something my father never did. So that's inevitable. It will happen. And plus, they can't mistreat Cody Rhodes, because if they want to bring more AEW stars over, Cody Rhodes is a proving ground. They have to make Cody Rhodes look good so where they can possibly get the likes of Kenny Omega back. Or not back. To WWE. Get the...
I don't know if Omega will ever come,
No.
to be honest.
No.
He said he won't work for McMahon, so I don't think he'll ever come. I would love to see him, but that dude I don't think will ever come to WWE. It's like Sting.
Sting went. Sting was there.
No, I know he did. I know he did, but it was like one of those things like he never wanted to. He said he never worked for him.
He came back for Triple H. That's like he's very clear that I did not come back for Vince. I came back because of Triple H.
I don't see Kenny Omega coming.
I want this stupid, I hate this word, the forbidden door. I want that to finally open and do like a war, a WCW Raw war type thing. There's two brands, or there's
the time. I think it will.
But
I think it will.
It
takes time.
But I also think if Cody Rhodes doesn't sell and Cody Rhodes doesn't get treated right, I don't think even like the likes of Chris Jericho would come back. And Jericho has been very open about, yeah, I'd go back if the money's right. I'd go back. I want to go back one last time. Or Moxley / Dean Ambrose. Like, I think there's potential, but at the same time, I think so much rides on Cody Rhodes' back, or not even his back, but metaphorically, they have so much invested in Cody Rhodes that if he doesn't do well, there's zero chances for anybody ex-WWE that's on AEW to come over, or even new AEW stars, because
when half your roster is ex-WWE on AEW, it's kind of hard to bring them back.
But they're still doing a good job of highlighting new AEW people. Yes. That's a whole nother conversation. But wow, we fast tracked from That's how shitty the Reigns and Lesnar match was. We
Not
just
good.
fucking bounced. So, regardless, let's wrap this up with the Hall of Fame. You watched it live. I watched it recorded the next day because I didn't want to watch a lot of the ads and a lot of the hype. I just wanted to watch one specific person, The Undertaker, solely. But
Which I think everybody did.
yeah, I did watch the Steiner brothers, and we were kind of right where they're gonna have to make sure he doesn't talk.
Scott?
Because he started it off. He started his speech off with things can go crazy, and his brother quickly took the microphone and shoved it away.
Oh, we're
and
not
said
doing
something.
this.
Yeah, and then brought it back. So,
Yeah.
I'll let you talk about Hall of Fame up until Taker because I got shit to say on that one.
I don't know. The Hall of Fame this year didn't seem like they really wanted to bring anybody in because they didn't want to conflict with Taker, which is completely understandable. Brought in Vader, brought in Steiner Brothers, brought in Queen
Charmel.
Charmel, Queen Charmel, and
Chad Gaspar.
Who?
Chad
Yeah.
Gaspar.
That's right.
The Warrior Award.
So they had those, and which is understandable. They're not going to have anybody even remotely close to the stature of Taker take away the part of it.
The limelight, yeah. Because Taker deserved a whole thing by himself. Like, that was the big thing. Everybody was even speculative. This may be the first Hall of Fame that is just Taker, nobody else. And he would have rightfully deserved and earned every moment. But I think them giving him an hour and a half to do his spiel was more than enough after watching it. But
more than enough, yes.
I mean, Steiner Brothers, I'm not shitting on them, but Steiner Brothers, they haven't been relevant for years. The only reason why Scott Steiner's kind of relevant is because he recently, in the last 5 to 7 years, again, tested positive for roids and had a medical condition because of his roids. It's the only reason why he's been relevant. They were great back when they were, but old news, and that's what kind of the Hall of Fame is to do, is bring light back onto these people. I still never thought they would get inducted, though, because of Scott.
But they did, and put on them.
Vader was well earned. I was impressed that took so long. I thought he was already in the Hall of Fame. So when they said inducted for the first time, I was like, wait,
really?
What? Hold on a second. What? And I had to literally pause the recording and go look it up. I was like, oh, who the fuck am I thinking about?
Yeah. And Charmel, I don't even remember her ever really wrestling.
I don't know if she wrestled. I don't remember her wrestling. I remember her being the manager for Booker too during King Booker's days.
She was also a Nitro girl as well, wasn't she?
Oh God, you're talking far back now.
Well, that's back in Harlem Heat days, so.
I know, but she's only relevant because of King Booker's stance. When he won King of the Ring, he became King Booker.
Yep.
She came on.
No, I know.
So, God, your day, I didn't pay too much attention Nitro days.
Oh, and it wasn't until I watched majority of the Taker speech and the infomercial. They have his self-help book ordered along with his newest sermon coming out, and I'm looking forward to the Get Rich or Die Trying that he's going to come out with. It's very
his TED
good.
Talk. He's gonna have a TED Talk. But here's the thing, before we get to Taker, Chad Gaspar, which a lot of people I guess don't remember or don't know about, he was part of Crime Time back in the day, and he won the Wounded Warrior, or not Wounded Warrior, that's us, my bad.
Ultimate Warrior.
The Ultimate Warrior Award. And he rightfully deserved it as well, because he literally was in an accident on the water and he sacrificed his life to save his kid, which it goes without saying that's kind of the ultimate sacrifice any parent could make for their child. Gave his life so his kid could live. So he definitely deserved it, and kind of wish they would have gave his wife and kids a little bit more screen time, but is what it is, and it was a good moment, and they relived a lot of it, and it was a good little bit. So a lot of people, I've realized a lot of people, just because of Twitter, did not realize who Chad was and that he was part of Crime Time. Um, a lot of people thought he was a failed NXT rookie, and I was like, no, he's a pretty decent wrestler actually back in the day. So
he had a decent run with Crime Time, and then taken way too soon.
yep, he
I
was
think,
supposed
but
he was supposed to come back like shortly. He was scheduled to come back, I think, just a few weeks after that incident. Him and his Crime Time partner were supposed to make a debut and come back at WrestleMania and do all this stuff. So, unfortunate it happened, but his son's still alive, so that's really about all I can get into that without getting more into it. But Taker, like, I watched that whole damn thing. But again, like I said before, Taker is my go-to superstar. I was that dorky little kid that drew the cross, his infamous Taker cross, all through grade school and middle school. I remember, quote, tattooing it on myself with permanent marker and pen. Like, Taker was the guy that's like, and he's synonymous with wrestling. You can't think WWE or even you think of wrestling without thinking of Taker. And he's just such an amazing career, 30 plus years, and deserved everything he's earned and worked for. And the fact that he started to peel the curtain back a lot,
yeah,
and
it's
tell
the
all
crazy
these
thing.
stories and everything. Because those of you who aren't familiar with it, Taker literally did not do interviews. And if he did,
Stuck
he
to his
was
persona.
he stuck to his persona 100%.
Hmm?
He was on Jay Leno, I believe, years ago, and he stuck to it. He didn't say too many words, and he was just kind of there, done up in makeup and everything. And he never shed light on it, and and probably still is, the most hardcore wrestler. Like, when talking about living that persona, uh, nobody really knew who he married. You just knew it was Sarah at one point because of the
That's
tattoo.
one of them.
Yeah. And then it wasn't until he married Michelle McCool later on that you started getting a little bit of a glimpse into his life, and all of his motivation shit that he said was really like to the point of, I was like, wow, okay. He's showing his human side, his weakness side, whatever you want to call it. It was very, as a fan, I appreciated it a lot, especially when this guy will live forever.
It was definitely different because you don't see that side of Taker, don't see him talking, don't see
Human
emotion.
reactions,
Yeah, I mean, he's just a dead man. Always has been, always will be.
Reaper
He
of
doesn't have that
Souls.
whole, yeah.
It's just,
Seeing him out there doing his talk and going through, it looked like a sales pitch, and it was weird because that's what it looked like, that's what it felt like, but it was just him being him,
yeah.
a completely different mindset than he ever has been. So it was hard to take it for what it was and seeing it, but it was definitely cool to hear the stories, hear him be, have the slapstick style to him and make some jokes, crack some jokes, talk
Good
about
jokes
McMahon.
too.
And the fact that he went at Godfather
Yep.
a couple times, um, referenced all the people that made him what he was, pushed him to where he was, and it was really cool to see the behind the scenes with him, and
Yeah.
again, don't pull that curtain back.
Have you seen his
Everything, it was
Dead Man
cool.
series though on Peacock?
I'm starting to look into more. I just got Peacock
Uh,
after WrestleMania, so I'm starting to look more. I just started watching the Evil series.
I have not
Oh,
watched that yet. I'm getting ready to.
I'm
Check
looking forward to a lot more with it.
check out the Undertaker. Is like, that is a giant, like, that takes place before his Boneyard match, and it's just a multi-year saga, and it's such a good documentary about him, um, and all the struggles he went through. But one thing a lot of people, okay, let me rephrase that because that's not true. One thing one specific person is throwing a bitch fit about is Mick Foley's daughter. The fact that Mick Foley was never mentioned by anyone, and the fact that she's so upset that Taker didn't even acknowledge Mick Foley or thank Mick Foley after having all those Hell in a Cell matches and all those boiler rooms and all that. Like,
Didn't even think about that.
Like, I didn't think anything of it either.
That's true, though.
I still have I have to rewatch it again because I don't know if I just misheard it or not misheard, like missed it. But I thought at least Vince McMahon did, and I get like there's a plethora. We're talking about 30 fucking plus years of opponents, and yes, while the Mankind versus Taker Hell in a Cell match, and Undertaker throws Mankind off the cell, throws him through the cell. Like, yes, that's iconic. Mankind has even admitted several times that he has memory problems because of matches like that. So why I don't understand why she's upset and why there's a few other people who are starting to get upset about it. Like 30 fucking plus years, guys. Do you remember what happened? Okay, some of you may not even be over 30. Do you remember what happened 30 years ago?
I don't.
I was shitting my diaper in Zaragoza, Spain. That's what I was doing.
We were 16 at the time, though, so.
Another story, Roggle. Shut up.
But I think another thing we can do too is we can go into that another time is have kind of that dark side of the ring
Yeah.
stuff to go into that stuff too. But I think
such a good series too.
But I think with that we could there's a lot we can do with it. But I
This
think
is
with the
not
way
end of wrestling, by the way.
Hall of
This
Fame
is clearly
Hall of
going-
Fame was the way he did it. It was great. He got what he deserved, and he left it open.
He's not
To never
coming
say
back.
never.
He's not. It's all just a fucking gimmick ploy. Look, I want Taker to come back too, but that dude cannot risk it. He barely survived his Goldberg match, and even him and Goldberg have both said that match should have never happened. They were not.
He almost died the
practicing
last
that.
10 matches he had.
That's not true.
Shit,
Only
watch
last
him.
9. Lesnar took care of him, and he's even
Oh,
admitted
shit.
that like Lesnar took care of him, and I'm still salty about that. I don't think Undertaker should have been defeated, but the
Didn't
fact that
deserve to end it.
it wasn't
deserve to end the streak.
It wasn't supposed to. Even Undertaker, like watch his series and everything, and everybody else is like, he was knocked out. He didn't get his shoulder up like he was supposed to, but the bell had been called, and they're like, oh shit.
Mm.
Okay, we're going with this. But I mean, at least it happened to someone, or happened to someone like Lesnar, where had it been some fucking no name, or even worse,
true.
not even worse, because that's not that I don't want to offend him, but even for like it would never have flown if it was Seth Rollins or Roman Reigns.
No, not at all. Not at all.
It would have never happened anybody else. It would have had to been Lesnar, John Cena. I know he was trying to get Cena to do one last match, so Cena could have that. But it would never have worked with any of the newer crew. It had to have been someone who's been seasoned for a bit. So, but I think Hall of Fame was great. The Taker, honestly, that was the only thing I gave a shit about, and I watched it and I loved every bit of it. But I also watched the documentary, so I think once you watch that documentary I'm talking about, you'll probably appreciate a little bit more of Taker's sales
Still, I
pitch.
have Peacock. I'll watch them.
So,
I'll watch it. Check it out.
It's a good one. It's definitely worth the watch. So, but
Watch it.
2.5 hours later.
We'll I gotta check out the Raw results and see everything else too, and see what's up with Reigns and.
I'll just watch it tomorrow.
So.
First thing in the morning. But
Yeah.
again, we said this last time. We'll probably keep saying this. This is like episode 3.5, 4, whatever. I'm gonna say it's 4 because I don't like half numbers. So.
I was gonna say 3.5 because we're supposed to only go like an hour. So.
And we do.
Said 3.5.
We do graphic. I do all the graphic design, so it's gonna be 4. But
I mean, you can call it 4.5 or go 3 hours almost.
But and this is just being transparent with everybody that's watching or listening. Will we do more of WWE? Very likely, because we both love WWE. Probably not every pay-per-view.
No.
We'll see. I mean, if we get to the point where we're doing 3 of these a month, 4 of these a month, okay, cool. We can dedicate one just to WWE. That's perfectly fine, acceptable, because we can do match wrap-ups and all that. That's fine. Essentially, what I'm saying is, we may be moving from 2. We don't know. He's an adult with a full-time job. I'm an adult who stays home with my kids and owns a business. Like a real Air Force member would.
True.
Anyway, we're gonna call it a night because again, we're 2.5 hours into this, and honestly, we were
This
only
one was
expecting
fun.
this to
This
be
was
like.
about an hour and a half longer we wanted it to be. So,
I think yeah, because I think we
let's
originally
call
told you
it.
all like 30 minutes to an hour, but
Yeah.
whatever. We'll be back. This will for
Oh,
sure
yeah.
already be up. It's going straight to YouTube as well. I'm not gonna postpone it; just put it up there. Um, but yeah, stay tuned for our next episode, where I believe, unless he backs out, I am slated to have somebody come on and join us. And right now, the setup is to talk about games, to talk about favorites and most hated. Like somebody likes the TMNT game that they just re-released, the
Nobody
Cowabunga
fucking likes that
edition.
game. Don't even try it. Nobody fucking likes that game.
That's a whole episode, I promise you.
Every turtle fucking drowns. They all drowned. They all drowned down here.
Take that damn straw up the nose. Uh,
Fucking bombs can't defuse them.
but we have something in store, and that one will be shot on the 14th and up on the 15th. So we look forward towards that. And of course, don't forget to follow us on social media. Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok and YouTube are all two guys, one gamepad. Follow us on Twitter as well at 2gamepad. And come check us out. Let us know. Leave a feedback on the episode you watch. Good or bad, let us know. You have audio issues. Yes, we know. We fucking know. Episode 2 and 3 had audio issues.
Leave us a review. Let us know what you think. I want to know.
Really, we're looking
Dude,
towards
I want to know
so
negative or positive.
you're not gonna fit
Neutral.
this.
What? I don't care.
You're not gonna fit this. So we have a lot more in store, and I think tonight kind of proves tangents are real between us, and we get lost really quick. So correct me if I'm wrong. This was a lot of fun.
It was. It was great.
So let's go sign off. Thank you, and thank you everybody for listening and watching. I greatly appreciate it. I don't know this Army grunt does, but I do greatly appreciate it as a professional over here. So thank you and take it.
Professional.
Thank you and take care. Have a good night, everyone. My name is Sig. I hope you enjoyed the show.
All right, I'm Rago. Take it easy. See y'all.